ball. Center court now, standing tall now, hold the fort down. This is showtime, more than sports now. Running crunch time, we rush like fourth down.
I be taking wins, we don't mess with laws. I be taking wins, we don't mess with laws. I be taking wins, we don't mess with laws. I be taking wins, we don't mess with laws. We been on that paper chasing all that fashion. We been on that paper chasing what you ration.
Been in the grind now, we ready for prime time, ready for shine now, we ready to get smile. On the rise, all eyes up on us now. Blast off spaceships till the touchdown.
Energy level on high, put that trouble on fire. Double it down, I'ma spit it around. Click, clack, boom, we the best in town. Energy level on high, put that trouble on fire. Double it down, I'ma spit it around. Click, clack, boom, we the best in town. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though.
Oh, so ready to blow. We're ready to blow, but I'm not ready to see myself on the camera, which is like crazy. I have no idea why my camera doesn't want to show me. It's like I see Bernard. Bernard's out there. What up, Bernard? Wave. You see me? All right. So I see Bernard, but I don't see me. That's crazy. Crazy. So we got to figure out why Pro is. Yo, what up, Bernard?
What up?
Bernard. What up? Can you hear me?
Can you? I can hear you. Hold up.
No.
Check. Hold up.
1 2 1 2 1 2. We know we're ready to. Check.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I had to set the settings to focus right.
We just can't see me, which is a first. There's just no camera working on my thing, which is interesting. I might have to jump out and jump back in or something. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, Bernard. Well, I'm going to introduce you, and I think it might be a better show if we don't see me. So it's actually something totally different that I've never seen before from this, but I'll get it rectified. I'm sure either that or I'll have to call in as a guest and admit myself in or whatnot. But we rocking with Bernard Hankins, man. Thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
It's usually a lot cooler when you can see me. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run the intro one more time. And while I run the intro, I'm going to see if I can fix it. All right. That'll be the magic. I'm going to go for that. All right. Here we go. One more time. If you've been watching, pretend you didn't see the intro. And if you missed the intro, well, aren't you in luck? Check it out.
We getting ready to blow. We getting ready to blow. We getting ready to, so ready to, oh so ready to.
I'ma go get it.
We getting ready to.
I'ma go get it.
We getting ready to.
I'ma go get it.
We getting ready to, so ready to, oh so ready to. We ready for jump ball.
with laws. I be taking win. We don't mess with laws. I be taking win. We don't mess with laws. I be taking win. We don't mess with laws. We been on that paper chasing all that fashion. We been on that paper chasing what you ration.
Been in the grind now. We ready for prime time. Ready for shine now. We ready to get smile. On the rise, all eyes up on us now. Blast off spaceships till the touchdown.
Energy level on high.
All right, I can see you now. I can't hear you though.
2 for 2 now, baby. 2 for 2. All right, we got it going.
Okay, now I hear you.
Yo, so what's cool is you're on the other side, which is dope. I've never had that happen before. My man Fly is in the building too. We're gonna bring him in and we're gonna get him going. He looks like he's in black and white back there. Let's see what the deal is. Oh, there you are.
And live in color.
What up, Fly? How are you?
What's up, man?
What up? What up?
It's a pleasure, brother. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Pro.
Fly was excited to get in on a Bernard interview. He's like, man, I heard that, brother. Got to get in here. What's up, Fly?
Man, I'm looking forward to hearing some more of that Jedi poetry.
He's a Jedi. That's what I'm telling you,
Brother,
man. He's a Jedi.
Listen. That's definitely one word that you will not hear thrown around lightly in this circle. I promise you.
No, absolutely not. So for those of y'all checking in who haven't got to hear Bernard yet to find out about him, I'm going to have him introduce himself in a second. I will give him the most brief intro there is. But first of all, hello, everyone. My name is Pro. Above me, right up there, that is the man that you know, the F dot, the L dot, Y.
Why?
Fly. What up, Fly?
Yo.
And over this way, over here, he looks like he's hosting the show. That is my man Bernard Hankins. He is a poet teacher. You know, I got a track called Poet Teacher. He is a poet teacher, educator, and I had to throw in philosopher too. And I think the title does him well. I've heard him say it on a couple of occasions informally, but I'm going to go and dub the philosopher as well. Bernard is just a deep cat who really gets people thinking, gets people talking. He's an educator, music educator, poet. And this is what I wanted to say as far as the intro goes, is that, you know, and I've said this to him, so this isn't anything different that he hasn't heard from me before, but he's one of those soft-spoken kind of middle of the road, pacing, even keel, whatever those words are you want to use, understated. Some people say, I get that stuff all the time too, but a lot of that's hogwash because underneath the surface is Jedi skill. In terms of his poetry, he presents himself as a poet. He's really an MC. He's an MC poet. Wordplay is off the chain. I'm not going to blow him up too much because you'll get a chance to hear him later. But that's Bernard in a nutshell. So you see why we had to bring him here to the ProQuo show, because he checks a lot of boxes that we find favorable. And just a good person, deep thinker, and like you, Fly, definitely leads with his faith as well. So you got to respect that as well. Absolutely. And that's it, man. So that's Bernard Hankins. Bernard, anything I missed there or didn't do right, please clarify for us and tell the people about yourself, man.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, you hit it. We've talked enough. I mean, well, it's funny because, yeah, on my website, it says poet, teacher, public speaker. So at that time, I was like, oh, those are like the three things I was doing the most. So now when people introduce myself, I'm like music and philosopher, because like that's just where my energy is right now. So I always feel like present myself with what I'm doing. But I guess even those two things, I wouldn't say they're just right now. Like I love music, like love making music, listening to music, consuming music. And philosophy, you know, thought, creativity, that's just who I am. So those two will never go away. But for whatever reason, I'm at that like peak right now where like the philosophy and the music are like both and they're coming together. So yeah, philosophy, if you want to simplify it, I'm a philosophical musician.
Dope. I think I did okay then. I think I hit it about right then.
Yeah, you hit it all. Deep think. I like how you put it on the poster. Deep thinker. I like that.
Man. Fly, how would you sum up you? Like we often do these little quick introductions, but let everybody hear your quick elevator encapsulation of yourself, Fly?
I don't know. That's hard.
Can't get away with the I don't know, bro. You gotta come with it.
That's hard.
Come
But
with
I'm
it.
definitely gonna give you an answer though. So I would like to just consider some of myself as an inspirational culture coach, man. Like those are things that probably mean the most to me. Challenging cultures, influencing cultures, changing cultures through inspiration. So music is one way I do that. Public speaking is the way I do that. Teaching, in like religious sectors and institutions is another way I do that. But I guess that could probably be the summary.
You see where I didn't say anything there, Bernard. I had to make him elaborate there with the silence here. Had to force him into the longer definition. Keep going, Fly. Is that it?
You said summary, so I was trying to avoid the longer definition.
The elevator's got at least 30 seconds. You were trying to do it in like 15, so I was just making you come with a less abridged version.
That'll work. I was just trying to fit within the parameters. I didn't want to overstate.
Yeah, I mean, having seen both your bios, I definitely think those are nice encapsulations. But Bernard, I read the story. Speaking of bio, I wanted to kind of lead with this, and I saw the story about how you came about being a TEDx speaker. Could you state that for everybody too, like how that happened? Because it was an interesting way. It wasn't your traditional way.
Right. So here in Charlottesville, they do a TEDx conference, and anybody who can do a TEDx, you just got to pay for the license, and you got to organize it. So they had started doing it at least 2014. But what they did is they had what they call an open mic. So 20 people get up and they pitch what they want to talk about, and then the audience votes on it. So the way it started was like, first they just asked for a 2-minute video, like submit your 2-minute video online. So I submitted something, and then they said, hey, we like what you did, so come to the open mic. So I came to the open mic. Then I did a 4-minute version with 20 people on stage, and then the crowd voted me. So they were like, okay, because you won a spot at the TEDx. And then like the organizers like, oh, he should close the day because what he's talking about. And so it was a great experience. Like it's definitely a different way to do it.
Yeah, for real. I know a little bit about the way that happened for you, and I didn't catch that until recently on your bio, but because I knew you did the TED Talk, and I've obviously seen it, and I've told you how much better it is than mine. But similarly, I was involved in one that was also an open mic. That's how we had my man Ashwani Jain on the show. Ashwani Jain is running for mayor of Maryland, and I was just blown away when I saw his. He did an open mic like you were at, and he didn't actually get chosen. They were taking a couple people, and I was just like, what are y'all thinking? Like, this is crazy. The dude is a magician who he doesn't, kind of like you don't necessarily lead with the rapper stuff. He doesn't lead with the magician, but at the core, he's this dope magician who just happens to be running for public office. He had served for Obama. He was in, I forget the name of the position that he had in the Obama administration. He was a Make-A-Wish child ambassador. He, overcame cancer. Oh, just crazy stuff, right? And just an amazing human being. And I was like, how does this dude not get in? So I know that you're up against amazing people when you do those open mics, because people are really gunning for that spot. And most of, like, I was chosen sort of what I think is a more traditional way. People just sort of find you, and I was at an event speaking and performing, and someone's like, oh my God, I gotta have you for a TEDx. And I was like, yo, that'd be dope. And I later got to do another one that I was only asked to really perform at. And so I had to massage it a little bit to be able to perform and speak a little bit. I tried to put it all into into my limited time of performance. So the weird thing is I've been in 3, but really only one where I full out talked, because the other one that I did, I'm kind of careful to say 3 TEDx events, because like you with the open mic, I was actually the only person at the open mic who was hired to come, because they had I was the performer. So I was like the entertainment for the spoken word. I walked out in the spoken word as if I was presenting, and then just flowed naturally into the spoken word. So that wasn't like a true TEDx. So I say 3 TEDx events. So that's my secret. You know what I mean? So But yeah, that's a wild way for anybody listening who wants to do like TEDx's. I was in a room today on our favorite pastime. I was in Clubhouse today, and they have a room in there for professional speakers and public speakers, and it was great, Bernard. I went in there. I was talking about freestyle, like we're always talking about, and talking about how they wanted a tip, and I was talking about what we get into quite a lot in terms of how, as PD for faculty or for anybody really, any professional really, just to take off the training wheels a little bit, start freestyling. Of all of us here are people who know about the power of freestyle, and how it can just open you up to the possibilities and have you be unafraid to be who you really are, and to really be present and in the moment. And as a teaching tool, I'm always saying, and I think you guys probably agree too, in terms of, if you have every minute scripted, it's really hard to actually be present and to actually consider the input that you're trying to solicit especially from students, or for Fly, who is a director for, is it like hundreds of people, or I'm not sure how many people report to you these days.
I haven't even counted. To be honest with you, I don't even know for sure. To be honest with you, it's still fresh, and so yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just crazy, the responsibility in your position. But imagine if people were coming into you and they were like, "Yo, this is what I need to say," blah 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 blah, and you'd be like, "Cool," and you're like reading off the report. You're reading off the form. You know what I'm saying? It just happens in education because teachers don't necessarily have a whole lot of training. And I know, Bernard, you're in the K-12 world, but for me, in higher ed world, we have less training. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
It's like a lot of the K through 12 people, if they come through the traditional way, they at least have PD, and many of them have gone to school to be educators. What was your own path into education too? Because I know yours is a little out the box as well.
Well, that's a funny thing. Is like, so I teach right now at a high school in Charlottesville. Been there for 6 years, teaching music production class as an elective. So in my mind, I don't think I was ever like, oh, I'm going into education. It was always a passion. Like in high school, college, I would always complain about, why doesn't the American education system work? It's just, I don't know if that's the philosopher person. I'm just always
it's ran by colonizers. Maybe I'm just throwing it out there. No, I'm just.
But when I was in high school, I was like, this doesn't work. I was like, I'm memorizing this chemistry test, and then I'm gonna take it, and then I'm not gonna know it. Like I already knew we weren't learning, and I'm a person who likes to learn. I mean, I would do stuff on my own, so I was like, this is not really meaningful, and I knew that at a young age.
Right.
So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going into school. It was more like, after college.
What up, Jonah?
Worked a couple years at a place, then was self-employed after that, freelance videography, poetry, whatever I was doing different stuff. And it was definitely a divine moment, because this other guy who I knew from an open mic, like he was working at the school, and he was on Facebook and was like, yo, come check out the program. And I was like, okay. So I went to check out the program, started hanging out. This is how all my stuff works. This is like the God moment. It's like I just start hanging out with people, and the next thing I know, I'm like, yo, this would be dope to work here. This is kind of cool. And then somebody's like, yo, you want a job here? And I'm like, yes, I do. But with this one, he was like, do you want to work? I was like, I kind of like being on my own. But everything started to line up. Like at that moment, I was mentoring at this other place, and it would close early, and I was like, I just want to make beats, and I don't have to leave at 8 o'clock when they close. And then I was like, oh, well, if you work here, you could go all night. So I was like, okay, I got it. Okay, I got it. So I thought about it, prayed about it, and I was like, I wasn't even sure I was going to take it. Like I kind of went back and forth for a few days, but then I was like, okay, if I can make beats all through the night, like that's my payment, because like they weren't paying like for real. Like, so then it was like a detour. It was like I didn't really plan to be like, I'm going into the education system. Right. But I think it's definitely a reason, because now when I speak from experience and not just the theory only. Even though I know the theory, it makes sense. I can say like, I went through this. I dealt with these kids. Like I went through these experiences. So I have more credibility now.
When you were going for your degree with architecture, right? When you were going for that degree, were you already thinking education at that point? Because you said it was always a passion, but were you like, somehow I'm going to just jump into this? Or were you thinking, hey, I want to go build stuff?
Nah, I mean, even architecture, like when people say, why'd you go to architecture school? It's like, because I like building small models. Like I'm literally the kind of person that's like, I do what I want to do. There is no like, like people when they talk to me, they're like, "Oh, so you did this?" So you just like, no, I literally do what I feel like I need to do in the moment. When I was in 7th grade, I came home one day. I was like, I'm going to architecture engineer. I was like, set. It was just like, book it. So when it came around, I was like, oh, yep, I said that. Sign me up, architecture. So I did architecture school, and everybody was like, how come you don't do music? I was like, because I want to still love music. Like, I don't want to like make it my major and not like it. But I would put my music into the architecture. Like all my projects would be like hip hop based, 4 elements. Like I was always shoving that stuff in there. My designs were not great, but I'm one of these people just do what I want to do. I was like, this doesn't work, but I got this like stuff that wants to get out of me, so I do it. So it wasn't like education was a thought, like, oh, I'm going to go into education. It was more just like, this is one of these things in my mind that I, critique or talk about. Like even one of my favorite architects we learned about, this guy, John Ruskin. He was English. He would be talking about work and how you shouldn't just work because it's, because you get a job, like you should love your work. I was like, this guy's like my kindred guy from long ago. So I don't know. It's weird. Like I just have all this stuff in me, and I just like I always describe stuff like, we watch the lottery and those balls pop up. It's like me. It's just like ideas pop up and like, all right, do it.
Running with it. Yeah.
There's no plan, so to speak. The plan is to do what you want.
Well, speaking of do what you want, we're gonna ask you at some point to hear some of the spoken word, if that's all right, or whatever you want to take it. Sometimes we freestyle and sometimes we play written stuff, but if you got some pieces, that would definitely be dope. I'm also going to ask you, keep this in the back of your mind. And Fly, I'm going to ask you too, because we haven't really broached this topic in a while, but looking for your top 5 MCs, since we all are in the MC barrel. And I'm just going to preface this with this. This is for anybody listening too. You can give us your top 5 as well. And
Dylan.
That's dope. Even if it's after the fact and you want to hit us a comment after the fact and the show's aired and you're watching it, we got a lot of Saturday watchers. Definitely pop them in the comments too. We want to find out who the 5 are. But I'm going to ask this with the 5. All right. When I say top 5, I don't mean in terms of accolades, just dopeness. Okay. So it would be nice though if they were at least at a level of popularity where people would know who you're talking about. So like if it's, Joe down the block or whatever, try to refrain from that. So, but I don't really want to have any like, hit record qualification per se, but they just should be well known so that we can all we can talk about that.
So let me ask you just to add some clarity to the qualification.
There's always clarity to this question.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
So of course you want people that others can recognize. Is it popularity, or is it just has to be better than the way the voting system is?
In other words, I don't want their popularity to be why you're voting for them, but I'm just saying like out of the popular lexicon of people who exist, right? Like when I say popular, I just mean people who are like published, legit. Somebody might name Fly, but I'm saying ideally, it'd be somebody that we can check on,
right.
Not like,
gotcha.
Yo, my man Joe down the block is dope, Gotcha. And a lot of times, I'll say this, a lot of times these conversations typically go to, well, he doesn't have the body work. I don't care about the body work. I just care about who do you think is just incredibly stupid with it, right? Or was. It can be dead or alive. I'm okay with that. I will say that no dead people make my top 5, though. However, I'll just preface it with that. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but there are no dead people in my top 5.
That's a bold one though, considering.
Yeah. Considering who that is,
Yeah.
And what's funny while we're on that topic is Nipsey for me is somebody who actually I think could have actually cracked my top 5 in time, because I was developing such a Nipsey taste. And for somebody who I thought was awful the very first time I heard him, like just truthfully, like very first time I heard him, I was like, this guy's garbage. And then I heard him again. And I was like, he's kind of like, I could already tell maybe I was a little too hasty. You know what I mean? Then I heard him a couple more times. And I was like, oh, this dude's like, and now like when I go back and listen to so much of it, I'm like, man, I was really like way off on that. But just an interesting thought. Not putting him on the Mount Rushmore of lyricism or anything like that. Just saying, really dope and really enjoy listening to him. But that's that. So peace to the dead. I'll end it with that. But there's no dead people in my top 5. There's what was it? No sex in the champagne room. I don't know where that came from, but it was definitely not relevant, but it found its way in. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it like that. And by the way, when I said it's gonna come up later, I was just saying that in case you needed the time. Like my top 5 are usually from a mixture of my top 12 at any given time, depending on what mood I'm in. They're kind of in regular rotation.
Your top 3, I think, won't ever move though.
They tend to actually. Like I've caught myself on sometimes listening to some people's thing, and I'm like, yeah, they actually I think they do. I think they do. They definitely jostle for order. And sometimes they slip out. I think we're just all influenced, kind of like Bernard was saying with the lottery ball thing. It's just like, oh, geez, Lauryn Hill's album is incredibly dope. She's number 1 today. You know what I mean? Like it can happen. And by the way, that's very rational thought. Lauryn Hill's album is
she's definitely in my top
perfect
5.
person with not a lot of body of work who is just when you just look at wow, just
legendary.
Ability. Yeah, but I'll leave it there for now. Fly. With Bernard, we talk a lot on Clubhouse. We haven't seen you on Clubhouse. Now, is this a work-life balance thing, or are you just done with Clubhouse?
No, it's definitely a work-life balance thing. I mean, I actually recently deleted the Clubhouse app.
What?
Yeah,
Blasphemy.
It's gone, bro. I've deleted the Clubhouse app.
Blasphemy.
Since I've started, my new gig has been completely overwhelming to do so. This is the second time in the last week that my wife has called my job my second wife. So that's why I know, I know.
Hey, y'all made that decision together, though. Remind her that, right? Because I know y'all made that decision together.
Absolutely.
I was making that decision with you. We're in New York, man. We were
right.
I was in the kettle.
So you remember, it was a real thing, man. It was like a serious situation. It was like I was carrying that. I talked to you about it. And so it wasn't just a rational decision. And not only was it strongly considered, but even just getting to that point was very strategic too. And so a lot of thought and effort went into it. And it's a lot, man. And I actually never fully got into Clubhouse the way most people are. So that's probably one of the reasons why it wasn't that hard to disconnect from it. I do feel like I should definitely be on Clubhouse but I'm so antisocial, introverted.
There's a theme here. There's a theme here.
That made it even easier to do. It's like I just don't have the energy, man, of being in the room. And I know it's a mistake. Like it's not even a question. I know that it's a mistake to not be tapped in and engaged. I struggle with it. Like
you can do what Bernard does. I mean, we'll get in the room and Bernard is like openly said it too, and he practices what he preaches. They're like, I feel no real pressure to speak at any given time. There can be just like 2 people in the room, and it's like Bernard will share a thought, and someone will say something. Bernard was just. He's all good with that, and I really respect that. That's hard to do. It's hard to do for faculty in the classroom too. I tell faculty count to 5, when you're listening to a response from a student and like palpably feel what 5 seconds feels like with no airtime. It's like this, like I'm gonna do it for you, right? Just so you can feel fly because you're the only non-educator in the group, technically, right? So today, class, just want to know, when you are looking at a polynomial, what does the degree of the leading coefficient tell us?
It's eternity, bro.
No, you went too quick. I was about right when I said no, I was about to hit 5 seconds, but the pressure, see how it hits you? It's an eternity, right? Not for Bernard. Not for Bernard. Is 5 seconds an eternity for you?
Nope. I love silence. People don't use silence as a tool that people don't use enough. It's like
absolutely. I'm with you. I'm probably on the other end of the spectrum. Like I believe in just silence when I'm alone, but if I'm in a room like intently to engage, I guess with people, then silence is awkward. But other than that, like I have no problem with being in complete silence. Like I love it. I wish I could use it like that. I'm learning that.
It's part of the Jedi Force, man. It's part of the.
Well, it's like, okay, I was in a grocery store before I came home, and I was like for me, okay, I can't do it with everybody, but like people I know, like recently my friend on Zoom, like when he logs on, I log on, there's that pressure inside. It's like, okay, who's gonna talk first? But I literally force myself to just sit there and be like, just let the conversation arise. Like it's like people don't know how to use curiosity. Like when I'm in a group of people, the first thing we all think is, okay, I gotta, okay, what are they wearing? Comment on their hair, their earrings. Like everybody's like trying to find out what to talk about. I'm like, why not just sit there and literally just like watch what spontaneously comes up? Other than it's kind of like pressurized. We gotta like, why? There's no real reason other than people who have trained themselves to be this way. You can literally sit still and then eventually just arrive at, hey, you know what I was thinking? Yeah, this just came to my mind. Like, why not be authentic? That's what I'm all about, authentic.
And it ties right into your philosophy on smiling, which I've also heard, which is right in line. I'm just gonna give the nutshell of the way that I've heard you, Bernard. Tell me if I'm off. Smiling seems to be this forced action to show that we're like happy and not like threatening, and that and sort of a societal pressure that we feel just to be like whenever we want to show that emotion. And it's a little awkward, right? Like in pictures where we're like, smile, and it's like, I don't feel like smiling at the moment, right?
I never like post pictures. I never understood it. It's like, why can't you just catch me in the moment? Like, just catch me in the moment when I'm natural. Like, take it. That's what I want to be remembered for. Like, oh, he on there making beats, or he rapping, or he working with somebody helping him be good. Like, catch me in the moment. Or like, think about all them old pictures. Like, I always like, what is the old black and white pictures you see with photos? People they just be like, they were like anti-smile.
Well, I'm gonna share for people if who have not seen your website. We're gonna promote the Bernard Hankins website. We're gonna see if you're true to your word. So we're gonna go over. So there's his TEDx, right? So there's a picture of his TEDx. Not exactly a smile, but it's definitely not a frown. It's approaching maybe a smile laugh, right? So I got you.
60% right there. That's that Beyonce smile right there.
Well, what I want to ask you, Fly, let's have a website scavenger hunt. Where would you go for a picture of Bernard here? Where would you? Is there a heading that looks like there might be pictures of Bernard where we can actually test the smile?
It said video, so we know there's going to be some kind of
right,
visual.
But it's notoriously lacking. That would see like where you see
that brother don't want to be in the picture.
Now let's find it though. Let's find. I kind of know. So we're gonna go to the about section, and there we go. Right. That's the flyer picture. There we go. That's a serious man. He's not frowning. He's not, but he's holding that mic like I'm no joke. You know what I'm saying?
That's 60%.
Yes, that's 60%. And I'm looking around and I'm like, you know what? There are not a lot of pictures here, so no pressure to smile exactly. And Fly, what's the Fly website? Is it Forever Lives Yahweh?
Yes.
Forever Lives Yahweh.com?
Yes, sir.
Let's check out the difference here. That's definitely not a smile. That is more of a puzzled look. Like, why are you on my website?
Like, do I know you?
Yeah.
Look me in my eyes. Look tell me.
That is definitely not a smile. That is this is my block.
Whatever you do, don't force it, man. Whatever you do, don't force it.
That is it.
Hey man, I gotta drop this Flystyle Friday. B, you just reminded me.
Oh, definitely. And let's go Professor Lyrical now. Let's look for smile. It's not a smile. My brother-in-law took that picture of me. He was like, "That looks like you when you're like 30 years old." I was like, "It does have a senior kind of feel to it." Definitely not a smile in the video. Let's go. I'm pretty sure I have definitely not a smile there. Approaching smile. No smile. No teeth. But in real life, I do laugh at this stage of my life.
I told you what my friend said. She says, I like your smile because you don't show it often. So when you do, it's like this big event.
Yes, that is well said.
Excellent,
I felt pressured to put a gallery on here. I was on a few people's website recently, and I didn't have a gallery on mine either, Bernard. So I was right with you, right? I was like, I'll need a gallery. Like you can go to my media and you can go through and find videos or whatever. I got my little stills and they're all not smile. So I was pressured in to do a gallery. It's a relatively cheesy gallery, but I was noticing a theme as well. You know
Bro, you're like a 40%er.
Well, look at that. There's me with ski. I was very happy. It was with ski. Now I think I am the most I'm one of the more smiling people on the boatload of Boston MCs. And this was way back in the day, but it's my man Slane and my man
Bro, how
DL
long? That was
Terminology.
25 years ago. How long
His
ago was
term. No. This is more like 15, but this is Dre Robinson. But anyways, I was smiling there as I was with my wife, but
that?
that's not really a real
You was
smile.
with the queen, man.
I was like overachieved, got her in a moment of weakness.
This man is crazy, man.
Definitely with my students, not a smile. You know what I'm saying? But Ski brought out the smile though. No smile was Supernatural in my man Dane. He is one of the funniest human beings on the planet. By the way, shout out to Supernatural.
But what also like is like, cause I've been thinking about this recently. Like, as I'm planning to leave this job, it's like,
yes,
we're talking about doing PD stuff.
yes.
I don't want my website to be like, I don't wear suits. You know what I'm saying? I'm the education guy. I was like, no, you get what you get. Like, either you want this or you don't. And so it just filters out the people who are not about it. It's like, good, you never wanted this, so why should I dress or look like something else that you didn't want anyway?
I got plenty of suits, but they're not really going anywhere right now. I got to tell you, like, when I got my new position, I was like, I gotta fit. Here's the thing: when you go to an HBCU, you're gonna dress up more than you do at a PWI, right? The predominantly white institution like Northeastern that I was at. I mean, faculty look just like I do right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, come in, wear whatever they feel like, flip flops or something crazy. And, mostly white faculty that feel no pressure to have to, look a certain way.
Right.
It's just filled with hippies, right? It's just like hippies and all over the place, right? But I will say the women, for the most part, especially younger women, are much more well dressed and look more like the classic image you'd think of maybe what a professor maybe should look like, but often don't, right? Now, all the black professors at campus, bow tied up, suit and tied, right? Very similar to what you see at an HBCU campus, and which is very true at mine. So I felt like it was almost disrespectful if I came in kind of like, hey guys, you know what I'm saying? Like being director of faculty development and associate professor, whatever. I was like, I got a nice office. Maybe I should clean up and look the part. So I was like, let me get the little suit game going. Something I didn't really do at Northeastern, but I did try to present myself in a slightly different way than I would every day. Because I also felt like I was lucky to get that job. And I was like, there were moments when I was working with the brass. I was like, let me put on the sport coat kind of thing. So I was definitely vacillating between, but that's a very real thing. It's a very real thing. And I try to explain that to some of the faculty that don't necessarily get that, especially the faculty that look a little bit more of my hue. They'd be like, I don't even get why people are wearing it. And I'm like, bro, like, really think about it. Like, put it in perspective, And also, very similarly, I'm not one that's like, you have to call me Dr. Plord or anything like that. And again, if you earned your doctorate and you're a black faculty member or whatever, and there's a lot of people like, you damn straight, you're going to call me doctor. You know what I'm saying? I totally get it. And I have the other faculty sometimes, like, why does everybody? And I was like, all right, let me break it down a little bit, but I get it. But at the same time, if you're in a position where you don't have to wear a dress code, please do not be the person enforcing one and making everybody else feel like they have to. Because I'm like, come on, bro. Like, let's just, like Bernard's point, let's just be who we are, and who we are whenever possible. Well, understanding all the other stuff at work.
Well, the other thing, a couple things, like one, it's like, okay, if you put a certain image on your website, that continues to just play into like people's preconceived notions of like what education is and who looks educated. So like when you have the button-up shirt, it's like, oh, I'm gonna click on that guy because he's smart.
Yeah.
I'm gonna click on that guy because he looks the part. Like, people have this educational look, like this visual aesthetic. And the other thing I was thinking about is why I love breaking down stuff. So like the word professional is not really a word that people break open and think about. It's like, well, what does that mean, professional? Well, the first part of the word professional is profession. Like, well, what is your profession? Like, if you're a doctor, yeah, perhaps you should look like a doctor, because if you're in the hospital and I need help, I need to identify you quickly. You know what I'm saying? Or firefighter, I should be able to identify you by your wardrobe.
Yeah.
So then you get into, I was thinking about this recently. It's like, okay, well, what about a teacher? Like, what does a teacher look like? It's like, well, I guess it depends on what you're teaching. Right? Like, if you're teaching hip hop, you should probably look like a hip hop teacher, especially if you're trying to relate to hip hop students. You You know what I'm saying? Like, so just to assume that every teacher should dress the same with a collar shirt and khakis, and this is professional. It's like, yeah, that's professional generally. But if I'm teaching a music class and I want people who like music to identify with me, they should identify with what I look like. Otherwise, they're gonna be like, yeah, I don't want to talk to that guy because he doesn't look like what I'm trying to get into.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I was thinking about profess too, as the root word of even profession, right? One who professes, right? Or one who supposedly knows something about this subject. You know what I mean? So even there, it's reinforced too. And like, well, if you're supposed to be a doctor, you better come in with some white coat on, or you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be a scientist. If I don't see that white coat, we know every commercial in the world, right? There's never been a history of any doctor commercial where you're either not wearing a suit or the white coat, if not both, right? They're never going to come in and go, you know, today we're going to bring in Pro, who's the doctor going to speak on my Lanta, you know, and I'm going to be looking like this. Yeah, bro. Yeah, what do I want to do? Let me hip you up with my Lanta game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no. And this is funny too. Even profile pictures, right? I think I may have said this to you, Bernard. I was in a room one day and I was trying to do my community service, which is always dispelling conspiracy theories. And so I was in a room where I was talking about how math is the thing that can let you realize the world's not flat, right? Like there's no, in the history, like for instance, we get into the faith part. There are plenty of scientists who are faith-based scientists, right? Mathematicians, scientists, whatever. Not the majority, but there are plenty, right? Like it's thousands, right? There are zero, right, flat earthers who are also mathematicians, right? When I find one, I have an interview I need to do. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just not out there. So this dude was hosting a room, and they were like, "Too bad we don't have any mathematicians in the room." And I was like, I hit the button. I was like, "Okay, I could probably speak on that." And the picture that I had, actually, let me go to the thing. The picture that just happened to be up was let's go find it here. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure it's in here. The picture I had up was that. It was this, right? It was this picture. It was that picture, right? And you've seen me with that one, Bernard, right? Like I've had that one on there multiple times. And this dude started laughing, right? He started laughing at me in the middle of the thing. He's like, and you're a professor. Like that makes a freaking lot of sense. You're a mathematician. Like, okay, buddy, what's 2 times 4? And I was like, just sitting there. I was like, bro, have you checked my bio? And so it was all quiet, right? Because the guy was hosting. He goes back in the thing. And he makes a public apology. Right? He goes, I just want to say that I misjudged. I'm sorry. I investigated. I read your bio. You're actually an associate professor of mathematics. You have a master's in math. And I did let the book, you know, the cover tell the story. And I was like, no harm, no foul, bro. Like, no harm. But I mean, seriously, like, that's not going to be the commercial for the My Lanta. Actually, I don't even know what My Lanta is. I'm just using that. By the way, what is My Lanta?
My Lanta is like Pepto-Bismol kind of stuff.
I don't know what it does, but further evidence that I should not be the one. But you're right. I mean, it's just this sort of ideal expectation of what people are going to look like, and you know, the look the three of us share right now is, I guess, what we're saying is not the look of the standard scientists. I guess I'm not sure.
Yeah. So you know now, bro, I wear. All right. So when I started my new gig, I can remember telling my wife years ago, man, I really want to wear a suit and tie to work. Like I couldn't wear this.
You were dying for it, huh?
This was probably a decade ago when I was young.
You were like, give me my respect.
Getting into operations management, and I was just like wearing a uniform every day. And I've always just kind of been into fashion of some sense. Like it's just something that's always been with me since I was young. Like I always just wanted to look good all the time. And I care about that kind of stuff. Even for my kids and my wife, like I dress my wife, my kids, everybody, just always been a thing. And I just couldn't wait to get to a point in my career where I could wear a suit and tie. And now I have to wear, man, listen, I hate it. And so like
can't wait to take that off.
Bro, now I get to work with, now I get the tie on. I like the concept of, you know, getting dressed, right? But then like it's not, I don't like the way it makes me feel though when I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, take care of my business. It's just like, honestly, if I could walk up in there like this, bro, I'd feel much better.
Yo, I hear you. I was on a quantum science call the other day, right? I'm on this quantum science team, and I'm on there with researchers from around the country, right? And they're incredibly smart, incredibly dope. And we're talking about
real nerd stuff, right? Like heavy nerd stuff. And some of the people I hadn't met yet, they came in, and on Wednesdays we have school spirit day. You wear stuff like this or whatever, right? That particular day, I had on the sweatsuit, the whole thing. I had the pants, right, the suit, the hat, and the hat has graffiti like behind me on the top of the head. These dope hats we have in the bookstore, right? And you see the lady when she walked in, she was like, pro. She was like, pro, and which element do you bring to the table? And of course I had to say, and of course everyone's in there like, because I'm rapping for them as well, you know, in the thing. And of course they didn't lead with the math. They're like, oh, pro is a rapper. And I was like, no, don't lead with that.
Right.
Lead with Dr. Biatch. No, I was like at that time I wanted you to say it. No, but it's hilarious what we do.
Well, I think that's also for me, like I said, it's like a litmus test. Like if people are already like, oh, what's this about? I'm like, good. Now I know who you are. Now I know that we don't need to engage because you're too superficial. There's some story on the news this morning about some coach. She was wearing high heels and peak pants at she was coaching. And it's like, oh my god! Like this is actually a story. Like this is the kind of superficiality I'm talking about. Like this is today.
So I can't watch the local news, by the way, and that's making it to national news now.
Assistant coach at Kentucky or something like the women's coach. Yeah, it's
like
crazy, bro.
The Obama tan suit. Oh my goodness! Like if you're so fixated on the fact that someone has on a suit or high, like what? This is all you can see.
I forgot about that.
Like I just my mind doesn't even go there. I'm like, you got on a suit. Like my mind instantly goes
freaking out on that one. Yeah, that was on Fox News for like 4 days in a row. They're like, he wore a tan suit.
And the thing is, people are serious.
It's like that's the thing. It was dope. Yeah,
that's what's so asinine. It's serious. People like I can't believe it. And Michelle Obama and her arms. Like I don't have time to think about this superficial stuff. There's so much more interesting things in the world to discuss.
Important
your
things.
Shoes or your arms or a suit. Like I don't have time for this mundane information.
I do have my Common phases. Like I got Common's new book, which I really like, and I look at Common's wardrobe. We all know the Common wardrobe, the faux turtleneck and but I like getting my Commons on. I'm like, yo, I like you fly. I was like, I can't wait to the day where I can just rock clothes like that, and it's not really an issue. Like I just go buy that whenever I want. You know what I'm saying? Like be like in a position where I can be fly just because I want to, but I don't really have to. You know, like he does a rap show and he's like, looks like he's going to the symphony orchestra. Half the time it is with the symphony orchestra, but it's like it's just like dope, you know. By the way, anybody here see I've been talking about this today because I watched it last night. Anyone see the Kanye documentary yet on Netflix?
I have not, man. I said I was gonna check it out this weekend.
Bro, I saw part 1. It's real, yo. It's really dope. This dude did it. Did you guys hear the story?
I hadn't even heard the whole story yet.
So Bernard, check this premise out. I think you would appreciate this. So the dude, his man, just was like, when he was starting to blow, was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do a documentary series on you. And so this dude followed Kanye around for years, getting film of Kanye's life while he's trying to get signed to The Rock, while he's got hit records out. You know what I'm saying? And no one's taking him seriously as a rapper.
Right.
And he's trying to be like, no, y'all, I'm a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm more than a producer. And he's literally walking into Rockefeller. He's walking Ruckus. All these people that are playing him. They're like, no, we're all set. We're all set. And then, you know, The Rock was showing him a little love because like he's saying when he gets in the car, he's like, they just want you to. And the narrator, the guy filming, he's like, yeah, they just want your beats, man. They're like, they're not really And Jay Ivey, who I met, actually did something with him in Boston. Jay Ivey is like one of the writers for this thing, spoken word poet and whatever, also from Chicago. And it's just amazing that he has this footage because the footage it's like, in retrospect, it's genius that he actually did that. So often we talk about things like that, but I was like, imagine that if we had that, Bernard, like go on the road and do some PD and have like, you know, the person doing the footage there. And
absolutely, man.
Be touring.
Document that, bro. That'd be cold.
Crazy. We were talking about that when we were in New York. We're like, yo, we need the camera 24/7, man. Where do you go?
I mean, yeah, when I was in architecture, I took a class that was about animation and film and architecture. And that's how I got into videography. And since then, it's just like, document as much as possible. It's funny. I was going through clips today of stuff I filmed over the years working at school, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's like I've captured everything.
I've got nothing. I've got
captured
nothing.
everything.
Bro, I got nothing. I got like 9 videos.
He said I got 9 videos.
Yo, it's like, and Feet, yo, my boy Feet, when we were in XCal, right? He's got the worst videos that we've ever done. They were like in the infancy of our career. They are so bad. I hope he's listening, right? What's good, Epi? What's up, Joan? They're so bad. Like when we were first starting to rap, like we were atrociously bad, right? And I mean, you can probably use your imagination, right? With 4 dancing white dudes, right? We're looking like
and you're not a pop group,
right? In 1991. Right, doing synchronized dancing, right, and in the infancy, and it's funny because actually at the end we actually were pretty dope with the moves. We were like scoop and scrap moves and everything, but it was like in 1991, bro, it was not pretty. And he's got those videos, right? But like thousands of monumental shows where like killing it, slaying it, standing ovations, 20,000 people, right? Like being introduced by the mayor of the city, nothing. And when it comes to college shows, I got 9 videos. I've done like 105 college shows. I got 9 videos, and they're grainy. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot of hard work though, man. Because like I used to be
a whole other job.
I wouldn't say obsessive, but I definitely like I'd be carrying stuff. I'd be carrying like a tripod, camera, keyboard, guitar. Like I would just be carrying all this stuff because we had this downtown
like,
mall.
Yo, IT guy, can you come over here? You know what I'm saying? I'm here to perform.
I got to the point. Okay, now I'm at the point where I understand clips. It's just like, okay, boom, yeah, check. Okay, we got it. Like you just need to document a piece.
That's it.
Because all people need is that little piece. They don't need the whole thing. There's some stuff I'm glad I got for posterity. Like, oh, glad I captured all that. Because I was watching this hip hop festival we put on with the students, and it was like, yo, the magic. I can still feel the magic coming through the screen. I was like, yes, like we did that. Right. But it's a lot of work to like try to document yourself. I mean, if you're just working with yourself, like you got to get the camera, tripod, make sure. I got my camera knocked over once and broken, like $3,000 camera. The sound guy knocked the tripod off the table. I'm almost stage playing the drums. I come down, I look up. I was like, what happened to my camera? I look on the floor, screen broke off.
Jeez. That's not pleasant. Yeah, I have to show y'all this. So go to my media section, right? Like my media section should not even be able to be called media, right? Like first, I just start off with like never-ending clips that I know that are like at least quality sound. All right, look. This is like this is just because somebody happened to take the video, right? And look at the date; it's like 2012. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't find. Look, even this video of me doing Bernard, this is me doing the open mic thing, the TEDx Tyson thing. It doesn't even start on time, and this was professionally videotaped because the dude thought I was just talking, and he didn't realize there was a performance, so he didn't. They were like. They didn't even think that the performance had started. They thought I was the guy coming out introducing the person. Watch how it starts. Watch. This is dead up how it starts, yo. Ready?
That we bury on our shelves.
That's how it starts. Yeah, that's the professional video. Yo, and like that's like one of my good ones. You know what I'm saying? And like, look. Same thing. This one, it glitches all throughout. This is the one in Howard. I did a TED Talk. It glitches throughout the thing. This one came out good, but I did what I think is a crappy TED Talk. This one it's in full. That's me outside in my house, you know, like, wait, there's one I'm dying to show you. At least I buried it down low. Oh yeah, like look, this is me performing at the Kennedy Center. Like some dude in the crowd. Like
yeah, I think it's my turn. I burn, waiting for the beat break to turn again. Spin around again, I rhyme off the head. Oh, what the
it's like high quality.
Hey, gotta keep it clean and PG-13. My son is here, he's actually 6, know what I mean? He's actually far away from the speakers, cause he knows he got a loud daddy who's named Peter. Michael Blow, I spit the microphone raw off the top of the head, but I wanna come written. I'm waiting for the beat to start switching. To see what's brewing and what's mixing in the kitchen. Yeah, I think I hear it in the back. Thank you for RBI, I'll get a hit off that. Yeah, and let me see how it feel. Let me test drive that beat right now for real. Yeah, it bring me back. In fact, I wanna say peace to my man Mazzy for that. Yeah, we got that words beats in life. Of course, lyrical murders the mic. With beats I like, I might go precise. So flip off the top off the roll of a C-I-C-E-C-B, the CD play. When I come off the top, yo, there is no way. Jose, like, I don't know. I flip off the top, one of the take out the big of the bottom of Espanol. Yo, how to do it for you. You know I represent for here for that DC crew. Take you all nice and then beat out that. I bring it back off the top and I don't need to. I said shout that, but when spit it, I come quick with that ridiculous type spit. Yes,
That's what I'm talking about right there.
You hold it on the C-A-M-E-R-A. I spelled it like K-S-O-L-O. Flow off the mic like jello. That don't make no sense, but I grab the microphone and say hell no.
And that's like high quality for me. You know what I'm saying?
The actual video quality, man, was really good.
And I made sure to hit the dude up. I was like, yo, he's like, yo, I'm gonna hit you with that video. And I was like, bro, if you knew how awful my video is, you would know how much I appreciate that. You know, and there's one more that is like 8 seconds that is the worst video ever of probably like one of the most amazing things. I don't know where I put it. Maybe I didn't even put it on here because it's so sad. Yeah, I don't think I did. But anyways, it was when I won the pitch and flow battle, right? Dougie Fresh is coming up to me and he's like, yo, man, that's like incredible, dope performance, right? And the camera's like at my shoes. And it sort of hits his head, so you kind of know for a second it was him, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that was Dougie Fresh." And then it's on the floor again, and MC Light is walking by, and she's like, "Hey, bro!" It's hitting the curtains, and I'm like, "Yo, but it's 8 seconds of MC Light and Dougie Fresh." I gotta run with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was just awful. So
I mean, I guess the good news is nowadays people's attention spans are so short. That's all they need is they're gonna watch 8 seconds of you anyway. Yes. All right, he good, book him.
Yep. Man, so I have to overcompensate with good writing. I have to have like on point bios. My bios are on point though. You know what I'm saying?
My bios are
but I got that bio fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, get these I don't know, but in bios are blazing.
That's right.
He gonna be an underground battle rap with them bios.
Yeah, you do not want this smoke with my bio game. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta do what we gotta do.
I did see your bio. I did like what you sent today. It was like conversations about race on pace in your face or something. Like,
yes.
Starting dope conversations.
Yes. I love that. That was just a listing, and that was just a listing. Yes. But you know, we gotta use what we gotta use. All right, so I'm going to the top 5 now. I'm looking top 5, and I don't know who wants to go first, Bernard. If it's gonna be you, I mean, you know, we could go guest first, or we could go fly first.
I'll go first.
All right, what you got? Wait. Hold on. We got to make this proper. Hold on. Let's see. We gotta get this drum roll. Oh man, here we go.
I'll go first.
How come he's running the show? How is Bernard running the show? I don't even know.
The show be.
Bernard has the skills.
I hacked in.
He did. All right, so we gotta get Fly back. Hold on. We have like a new house here. We used to have a different system. So all right, I'm just gonna go back to. I'll put you in the middle. All right, what you got?
Top 5. I'd have to say Jay, Andy Mineo, Mission, Lauren.
Mission's coming up too. When's Mission coming on the show?
Yeah, I gotta.
He is a beast, by the way.
Mission, listen, and he's got a catalog that's very, 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 very long. I'm still surprised. I know why he hadn't really surfaced like he should have, because of his content, with it being faith-based and Christian and all that. He on gangbang, and his music's like mine, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so, but the man's cold anyway. So Mission, Andy Mineo, Jay, Wayne, and Lauren. That's my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's quality.
That's my top 5.
I totally disagree, but it's quality. No,
it's hard to argue with that 5. Man.
You can't argue with objective truth, right?
Yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard to argue with that 5, man. They cover everything. that I like about music.
I said you can't argue with objective truth or subjective for that matter, right?
For
All
that
right, so-
matter, exactly.
Yeah. So what you got, Bernard?
All right, so first clarification question. This is top rappers or favorite rappers?
I knew we couldn't get through without the clarification. He's very technical with it. Well, I'm gonna. All right. So
Top 5 favorite.
but they're favorite based upon why they. In other words, the why of the favorite is like I said, dope, like talent.
Right.
Like I love Milk D, right? But he's clearly not like the most talented MC. But I just love his personality, so I'm not gonna put him in the top 5.
See, this is a difficult question for me because I'm not gonna get into all the complexity, but I'm just gonna give you these names, and we can talk about it. And some of the people can be like, "Who?
Oh, we ever heard of him? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Well,
like,
you've heard. At least you might have heard one of them. Okay, this person was extremely slept on. A+.
All right, I know who A+ is.
But this is a different. I'm talking about the young A+, because there was like another A+ who was with. I forgot what group he was with, because they came to Charlottesville town. I was like, "Yo, A+," and it was a whole group, and I was like, "Oh,
Tell
this
the
is not the
funky
A+."
Homo sapiens guy from West
Yeah,
Coast.
that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about he was 13 years old. He came out with that song "All I See," and then what was his second song? I forgot. But he was produced by
Didn't even realize that's not the same A+.
He was 13. He was on BET, and like everybody was like, "Oh, he's just a little kid," and I was like, "No, but he can flow." Like his voice was nice. I think the Kedar Entertainment, Beat Miners, they like wrote all his lyrics, but he had that flow.
I'm gonna check for him.
He did his dope. I don't know if he freestyled it, but there was this. It was on like BET.
Yeah, I know
when you said Rap City.
Yeah. I know what you're speaking of. I never actually saw, but heard A+ was killing it on BET. I thought it was the same A+ that I'm speaking to.
I think I have a cassette in my room here somewhere, because he did this rap one time and I missed it, and then the next time it came on, I always had my TV hooked up to the stereo, so I was like record, and he had this one line. He said, "I like to chill with Lauryn Hill, lounge with Foxy Brown." I just remember that line, but he would just go at it, and I was always upset because like, yo, why? Because he's young, everybody's like, "Oh, you're not real rap." But his first album was dope. Second,
you're wrong, but I appreciate it. I appreciate your opinion. No, go. I'm just kidding.
All right, so A+. Next, I guess I would say Rakim. Definitely like later Rakim. I don't know if I was a fan of like earlier Rakim, but when I got the 18th letter,
18th letter is amazing.
Just because like the internal rhymes, the the flow, the voice. Like he got the voice, he got the flow, he got the lyrics. He's deep thinker. He just, I don't know, he seemed like he should be a
the prophecy professor,
cool person to talk to. Like he just like seemed like, yo, Rakim.
That dude is always the same. It don't matter who he's in. He is Rakim 24/7. He does not sugarcoat anything. He's just like, yo, it's Rakim, not me. Just 24/7.
I mean, to me, he like epitomizes hip hop in a lot of ways. Like just hip hop. You guys brought it up. I forgot about her in a way, but yeah, Lauryn Hill, because of like the combination of like the lyricism and the voice, and like she can like, I remember she got on the BET Awards one time, and they were just accepting an award, and she just started flowing, and I was like, she should get an award for this little freestyle here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was cold.
Yep.
Her voice. Just all that, and then I mean, come on, yo, Sister Act 2. Come on, I mean,
she was probably one of the most talented just artists I've ever heard.
Just
nothing she couldn't do.
Even when she was just doing that little album she threw out with just playing guitar and rapping on was dope. It wasn't what people wanted to hear at that time, but it was just sick. Yeah, try to play guitar and rap. By the way, even if you play guitar, try playing guitar and rapping. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear you and be doper than Lauryn Hill. You know. Granted, she played the same 4 chords through the entire thing, but it was like still was dope. Like I play like 6 chords, and I don't play them in rap as well as that.
The next one, okay, this person, I feel like they never really reached their potential, but Cannabis, when he came out, because he's one of those
album
lyricists.
out, he's got a new album out right now.
Oh, he got a new one out.
Yeah, he's got a track with K Solo on there. By the way, just throwing that out there.
I mean, after the LL thing, I don't know. I guess he kind of fell off, and everybody always talks about, well, yo, how come the battle rappers aren't successful? It's like, well, because they battle rap, and it
came out last week, by the way.
Okay.
So this is
I didn't know he was still making music.
Yep. I was surprised too. I had no idea it was coming out. It came out last week.
But he had that, that first one where he was like, I never freestyle for free. That one where he just like the lines of the Adidas and the Z. He's that kind of rapper, like the lyricism rapper. So I guess that's why I like him, just about the bars. It's punchline after punchline. Plus, he had that one song. He's all like, "Yo, I'm impregnating my own self coming out of my mother's womb." Like he likes to talk about that kind of stuff. Oh, and then the final one, I guess the final one, and not even because of like lyricism, but like Busy Bone from Bone Thugs.
Yeah, he slept on too.
I love Busy Bone.
Busy
Like
Bone
from Thuggish Ruggish. When I first heard that, I was like, who is he? Like, what is?
There's a dude. We did an interview with this dude. I don't know if you know who Kermit Henderson is, but he's on Clubhouse quite a lot. He's like an OG in the business, and he's on there every day in a lot of these rooms. If you check for him, and he discovered Busy Bone. He's always talking about that on there, and you can check this guy's receipts. Like he's the real deal. And Quo and I did an interview with them. He does a podcast too, but he's got like 200 plaques. He's like one of those kind of dude, and I'm not even kidding. He's got like 200 plus plaques. He most recently did one for. Was it? He always has the picture of him with the Mariah one that he's most proud of, but real recently, it was like, I want to say it's Mary J, but I think I'm just saying that because of the Super Bowl. But anyways, just off the chart. And we got to talk about that Super Bowl a little more. But all right, I'm gonna say mine. I respect those lists. Those are different. Mine is not very different. I am always on the fence with the Rakim thing because like Rakim to me is like on the Mount Rushmore, of course, but it's like in terms of most skill, it kind of feels to me with Rakim, it's like the NBA argument when you're taking Bill Robinson. I mean, you know what I'm saying? With like you're taking Robinson, or if you're taking who's the other one? No, not Wilt. I mean, Wilt is so dominant that I think like Wilt can get the pass. So he would dominate in any era.
So you think like Hakeem, David Robinson?
I meant Oscar Robinson. Like Oscar Robinson, right? It's like none of us saw Oscar Robinson play, but we know we're supposed to say him. You know what I mean? And it's like we did all hear Rakim. It's like you got to admit that there's a lot of people who have added to kind of what he did. But I agree with Bernard that the 18th Letter album is so ridiculous that it's just so on point. Everything about it, I think it's better than his early stuff, and that's not a popular opinion among hip hop purists. But I mean, I killed the early Rakim tapes. I mean, I played them every single day. I mean, for like years, so he's in my top 5. I'm gonna say that, but he's not like my number 1, and probably not even my number 2 or 3. Just being truthful at this stage of the game, because there's people like Pharoah Monch who exist on the planet who are, to me, so skilled that it's like he's playing with rap, like that he's bored by it, like an adolescent playing with a toy that he just wants to discard. Like
I can almost name your top 5.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the same with my man Chip Fu. Chip Fu is so ridiculously verbally talented. I'm not saying he's saying necessarily the deepest lyrics all the time or whatever, but just I call him the best verbalist alive. Like in terms of his ability, it's off the chain. But if you really listen to some of the stuff he's saying, it's berserk. And if he drops the new stuff now with his melodies and his Jamaican rhythms, just crazy, like crazy, just crazy.
Yeah, we bought a lot of Chip, bro, on the way back.
He is not a popular. Yeah, we did. You were falling asleep, but I was awake.
Absolutely.
Chip. But no, Chip is just insanely talented. So it's like I don't care what year it is, if it was 94, if it's 2004, 2024, that dude sounds the same, and he sounds berserk on every record. So I gotta say Chip Fu's up there. I'm the biggest Big Daddy Kane fan alive in the world, so I have to obviously put Big Daddy Kane in there. But then there are so many current MCs that, when I say current, I mean people have come out like in the last decade, let's say, who've really established themselves in the last decade. Like it's hard to not acknowledge J. Cole in terms of what he's able to do, in terms of how he resonates with the intersection of a lot of generations, the same as a Kendrick would, and it's like, while I don't put necessarily Kendrick right there, I respect the heck out of what he does, but I don't think talent wise I just think he's able to do a lot of things. And where J. Cole is like a popularity contest name to say, it's every single time I really like listen to maybe his top 2 tracks on every album. I'm like, yo, these are insane. But I feel that a lot of his tracks aren't. So it gets into that question: are you talking body of work, or are you talking like what they've ever uttered out their mouth? So I'm always hesitant about the J. Cole thing. And Fly, I don't know what you're doing, but you you're having an issue there.
Yeah, my phone's getting ready to die. I'm gonna have to swap it out in a second.
Oh, I thought you were trying to put it on review camera mode or whatever.
No, bro. I see where you're going with your top 5 though.
No, I mean,
I peep it.
But I honestly feel that Lauryn Hill's ability to captivate any crowd at any time when she's there on time is insane. And I just think what she brings to the table, singing, whether it's playing instruments, the content matter she's talking about, and the way that her voice, she just kills every track. I have to put Lauryn up there. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to. Absolutely. So even though I don't think there's like many Lauryn Hill albums coming out, I don't think there's many Cannabis albums coming out. I was shocked that he did put one out. But if I could just hear 5 rappers rap right now, that's pretty much what I answered. I answered it pretty much like people that I think are amazingly talented that I want to hear. And when I say who I want to hear, as much as I love someone, like I use the example of Audio 2, Milk Tea, I just find him extremely entertaining. I am answering this though in terms of like skilled people that I just think are berserk, you know. But there's so many people that are like, I mean, Royce the 5'9" is insanely talented, you know. So I love Royce, you know, when Royce gets his stuff on. So I'm going to declaratively say there's Chip Fu in my top 5. There's Pharoah Monch in my top 5. There's Big Daddy Kane in my top 5. There is Rakim and Lauryn Hill in my top 5. There it is. Oh, Rakim is hanging on, but at any time, Royce the 5'9" could come in. J. Cole might throw him aside. Cool G Rap could throw him aside. KRS-One could throw him aside. You know what I'm saying? Common could come and chuck him aside. Cannabis, if he keeps putting out albums, who knows? You know, like.
I mean, yeah. Here's the other thing, though, because you and I talked when you
Socrates.
When you texted me, it was like, "Yo, who was your sensei? Where did you learn from?" I told you I would print out lyrics online every Sunday. I'm just like devouring lyrics.
All right, I'm just still going.
Right. And there's something about looking at the text, and I can see like the internal rhymes, and I can see the double syllables. Yep. So people like Nas, AZ, the A+ that I mentioned. AZ. Like if you're not doing that, it's already like you're not there for me. Like if you don't have like dense, thick text on the screen,
quilt.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, you're okay.
Yeah.
Like that's
now AZ is in my top 5 of who I want to hear all the time. You know what I'm saying? But because he is a 10 on flow. And he's like a 10 on voice, 10 on flow.
Right.
And lyrics 7. You know what I'm saying? He's not saying anything that's like, I know what he's gonna say. He likes sneakers, he likes chains, he likes women, he likes drinking. Yeah, like that's what he's gonna say, you know.
But I don't know, his voice was so unique that I don't like that's the thing that captured. He just had that voice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Rather Unique. Like, yeah, Sugar Hill was an all right song to me, but when I heard like Rather Unique, Give me Yours. I was like, this dude is just different. Like he has a different style, different beat selection.
Mastered what he does. He's a master of what he does. But he's like so high to me on like those two that's like, I want the lyrics to be a little bit, you know, but I don't know. I love AZ. I'm like one of the biggest AZ fans that I know, you know.
Wait, so is Lauryn Hill the greatest artist of all time? We all got Lauryn. Like, and to be honest with you, I don't know anybody over 30 that.
Well, we all got Lauryn like down around number 5 too. So it's like, you know, it depends what voting method you're using. I teach voting methods.
Well, I wasn't really doing order. I was just saying
mine wasn't really in the order.
You didn't want to commit. You all fear commit. Bernard, you're not married. You fear a commitment.
I would say that Lauryn's probably, without the complexities. With the complexities, Lauryn's my favorite artist. Like.
But since we talked about complexities, we are going to have to put Bernard Hankins on the spot now. Bernard, you got a sampling of what you want to do for us that we can convince you to do.
I mean, I got tons of stuff.
I know you do.
I mean, y'all played the other one last week, didn't you?
We did.
Joe, that's listen.
You see how I've shrunken ourselves down because we are not worthy. We are not worthy right now. Folks, y'all about to hear Bernard Hankins, who calls himself a poet, which he indeed is, but he's so much more.
So much more, brother. That
Philosopher,
joint from
poet,
last
rapper,
week.
deep thinker. He's
Man.
Bernard Hankins. That's all you can say.
I should have been. I looked up one short one. You probably want me to look up another one. This. All right. This one is.
Oh, I love that short one you did the other day, bro. That was crazy.
This one. Okay. This one is called Creation Cremation. Adults are afraid to dream and think outside of the box because they think it means one day they'll have to stay and lay outside in a box. Homeless in hunger, longing no longer for surprises or cereal prizes hidden inside a box. Overly concerned with the facts, nutrition ones they read on the back and on the outside of the box. Deny dreams and put play on delay, forgetting that one day they will lay and decay into a sugary powdered cremation, dead inside of a box.
That's crazy.
That's nice. That's nice. I've not heard that one,
bro. So what usually inspires
he's eating cereal, bro. You can tell he was just eating some cereal, bro. That was obvious. No,
I was getting there, but we always try to use take educational moments for people who are aspiring to be artists to try to understand the thought provoking, and usually I guess like people, for us, we understand that. Well, let me say it this way: for people who aren't us, or for people who have a hard time being able to identify what their purpose is or what they really do, like we can probably all just say, like we did at the beginning of the show, like this is what I do. But there are some people who don't do that, and so their definition for what they cannot explain is that it's art, right? And so more strategically for you, I would like for people to be able to hear that it's not the vague blanket that is art, but it's the intent to be able to understand when you're being inspired by something, no matter how small or how simple it is. And some people may look at it as minute, or people deal with writer's block because they don't know that it can be simple. It could be a pack of pull-ups on the floor that inspired you to pull up, and that turned and evolved into, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Into something. And so just for people who don't really know, who struggle with that part of the identity, or thinking that it has to be deep, they don't always start that way, because it starts something simple, or so just kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said there about the ability to identify when something is like present. I bought this book by Jerry Seinfeld, and the title is This Anything? And he said that that's what he says to his comedian friends. Like if he gets a little thing, he's like, is this anything? Like, is this something inspired, or is this something funny, or should I just abandon it? And yeah, I mean, to me, that goes to a lot of things. One, knowing yourself, keeping your curiosity intact over the years. I talk a lot about intuition. I'd say intuition is self-trust. Like the more time you spend with yourself, the next time that thing happens, you go like, okay, yeah, I'll probably follow that because that worked the last time. But that means you have to spend a lot of time with yourself to get to know yourself, to trust yourself. So when those things come up, you say, hey, self, is this something we want to pursue? Yeah, self. Okay, let's do it. But a lot of people don't do that. They don't spend time getting to know them. And it's just like any relationship. If you don't spend time with someone, you don't know about them. You don't know what they like, right? You don't know what inspires them. You know what they're interested in. You know when their birthday is. So it's like, how do you expect to also that not to be true for you? And so, like you're saying, it's not so much like, oh man, I got to be a philosopher, or I got to read all these books. It's literally knowing what you like, and when it brings itself in front of you, you grab you like, that belongs to me. I mean, that's how I see ideas. Like that one. Okay, that one I called it Creation Cremation, and that sparked the poem because there was something about the CREATION and the CREMATION. That's just the way my mind works. I see like cremation and creation, and I see the similarity in words,
We
and my
got to show
brain
your
says,
Instagram page later. I'm sorry. Speaking of that, that's crazy.
so that's just who I am. Like, that's not a thing I trained to do in school. That's not like some technique that you read in the book, the Bernard method. That's like that's who I was made to be. And everybody has some element of that, whatever it is. Could be with cooking, could be dancing. You see the world a certain way, and you can accept it like, hey, that's who I am, and I should just embrace that and like use that as my power. Or you can reject it, which a lot of people do. They're like, that's just me, or that's stupid. Why would I say that? It's like,
Right.
because you're the only one who can do it.
Mm.
So that cremation thing came to me because I just looked at the two words, and then I started thinking about how cremation was like powder. Cremation, like when someone gets cremated, is like a powdered, dust basically. And then I was thinking about the sugary, crusty cereal box.
Right.
So that's how the idea started to flow. I'm always
how they're
doing
opposite and
comparisons.
juxtaposed. You got to see this, Fly. So this is his and everybody else for that matter. I know it's a little hard to see here. This is one of his Instagram pages here, Bernard Talks, right? So take a real close look at what's going on. So I'm going to click into one of these. So I don't know if you can see how that's heavier colored here on the AUTHOR. So he has like a Thor, like he's always breaking down like what the words mean, right? So he's like always on wordplay mode, right? So and he took the time to pop this. You must have did this with the program, right? With the app. You didn't do this by hand, did you?
No, I mean it's just Google Slides.
Yeah, he was like, I thought he was going to say what program. That's what I'm saying. No, but there is an app that allows you to do the ones with the pictures all come together or whatever. But I see that this is different. But yeah, like I didn't even get this one. Adult lessons.
We'll try to pronounce it differently and see if you get it.
Yeah, okay, I'm trying. Fly, see if you can beat me here because I don't know. I think I got this one. Adulte, adolescents, adult lessons, adolescents, adult, adult.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this into a game show now.
Yeah, add you.
Okay, think about school.
Add you, little sons.
Think about school. Think about
lessons.
Kids.
Oh, less sons.
Look, I think Fly got it. He got it.
Adult less sons. What you got, Fly?
He put it in the chat.
Oh, we did. Oh, okay. I'm only looking at the other screen, so I didn't see it. Okay, gotcha.
I guess his
I'm
video
out.
went down.
Adolescent.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's out. Oh yeah. So it's like adolescence.
Adolescence.
Yeah, like you're an adolescent. Like you're not a grown up. You're an adolescent.
Right.
But so I guess to me, like the adult lessons, it's like if you're an adult, your lessons are so
gotcha.
Logical, and I'm a grown up. My adult lessons, and you leave your adolescence. Like
I'm so dumb that I was reading this thing and thinking adolescence the whole time because I don't know what adult lessons actually means. Like I'm like, oh, is that a word? Like I don't even get it because of that. That's how poor my vocabulary was right there for that moment. What does actually that mean as one word?
What, adolescence?
No, that word, adult lessons. Is that actually
No, that's a play on the word adolescent.
Okay, so that doesn't exist in its true form, is what you're saying.
Right.
Oh, okay, now I feel better because I was like, I've never read that word as one word.
So yeah, some of these are like words that are just normal words, and I find like the words within words or the split in the syllable.
Gotcha.
But then other ones are words that I've actually invented.
Right.
Like
Godernity.
Yeah, like it's like okay, this is the philosophical part. Like we live in modernity, and a lot of modernity says God is dead, right? So it's like, so I like taking these two clashing subjects, like God, modernity. So it's like marrying two worlds together, where the opposing concepts have to like be joined by the word.
I had a lot of thoughts on the whole God is dead idea when I was rummaging through my multiple faiths books that I was telling you about from the back at the McDonough and Sons where I worked. No, I came to the idea of that, but you have to take Christianity out of the equation. You just have to use God in the most general sense. Say, could it not have been possible that a God would have existed and could have died? And if we define God not as the Christian God, but just as like creator, that, or responsible for all that there is, right? Could that God have passed? In other words, does God need to take away the big Abrahamic religions, right? Does God need to be omnipotent? Or can't God just be like the thing defying all logic and reason, right? That set everything in motion and then was like, oh, peace out. So it's just a whole nother
Right.
topic. That was always the deep one. I was like, could that happen? Because I always talk about myself as a awful Christian.
Yes.
I'm a poor Christian who likes the idea of
You
God.
need to stop this, man. This man just has to
I
stop.
like the
You
idea
need
of
to stop
God,
this.
but I feel the older I get, I feel like hardcore, like it has to be so, So I'm like, I can see a lot of logical errors. And I'm always in Christian rooms. I'm in all the time, and I'm always just listening. And there was a guy in this morning, and he started off with the premise. You guys are probably more versed on it than I am, but he's like, we have to admit, he was one of those who he's like Jonah, my friend Jonah. Jonah can talk God all day. Like he wants to debate you on
Right.
any doubt you have. Like he's got everything lined up, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not a super expert on the book like that. I'm just pretty okay. Like I'm one of those people who was bored for 2 months and I read the entire Bible when I was 19 years old, So the first time I ever read the whole thing, I didn't know what the heck I was reading. In most Deuteronomy, I had no idea what was going on. Numbers, I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah,
Leviticus,
that
no
Old
idea.
Testament is tough, bro. Especially like Numbers in that area.
Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. I was like, my gosh. And I mean, let alone Revelations. I mean, just
Numbers.
I love Revelation.
Revelations is great. Numbers is tough. Even Leviticus is a little bit better than Numbers in the sense of just getting through it because it kind of deals with the priesthood and all that kind of stuff. But the numbers,
give me
the
Paul,
consensus,
give me Mark, give me Luke.
Bro,
I can roll with that.
Well, here's what's interesting. Me and my mom, we've been going through Revelation this whole year. Like we were just going every chapter a week, but then you go into something and go deeper. But recently, we've been like so the river Euphrates came up, and then that connected back to Genesis. Euphrates. Genesis.
How to do it.
And so then what happened was while we were going through stuff, we pulled up Google Earth, and it's just like so fascinating, like geographically, historically, like place. And it's like, oh, this is where this actually is. And you realize how little you know about the world. Like, just over there, the Middle East. And it's like, nah, Egypt is right here. You're like, oh.
Here's Babylon. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh.
the whole garden.
Show me Jericho.
Rivers and all that part. So this is the one thing, though, that probably has the distinguished part for me with like devout Christianity and kind of like I believe like I'm most
my brand of poor Christianity. Is that what you're going through?
No, because I'm always like
less than perfect
defending pro because he always talks about how he upsets me when he says that, and so he's always talking.
No other way to say it, bro.
I think
I'm a Christ hoper.
I think that's because, but that's kind of like what salvation is, right? It's kind of like the whole idea that we really all are helpless, right? No matter how much you really think you know or do know, we're all helpless, right? And so for me though, like with the whole devout thing, is just that one of the things that probably the only thing that really just rubs me the wrong way when it comes to religion is that as a religious institution, we're not as acceptable or as transparent about what we really can't explain. And that's probably the part of science that I appreciate, even though sometimes it contradicts, what. But if it does, it does. Like in the religious institution, we try to make stuff make sense even if we don't really have an explanation. And that part I don't like. At least the science is like when they can't prove it, it's like, all right, I can't prove it. Like they have words for this, like theory, right? Like it's not true because I can't prove it. And so in a religious sector, like we argue, I've seen this, like we argue with people with something that we just really can't explain. And especially when it comes to God, it's an experience, right? That really solidifies it for you as a person. Like I can't make you see God if you don't see God. Like it's just one of those things. But I've heard people like will argue tooth and nail, like how can you not see it, or you're not a believer, or people even proclaim themselves to be terrible Christians because of whatever reason, right? And it's just like, bro, like it's a consistent thing for all of us as humans. To like making that stride.
I'm on the believe in God. I raise my hand, right?
Right.
But I surely know that what I believe in is totally different than what a lot of, because like Christianity, I'm like, okay, I can objectively stand back as being, I'll throw in the man of science. I can objectively say there's a lot in this book that doesn't seem to make perfect sense. Right? And so
Absolutely.
And I'm like, there, I can see different arguments, right? But what it gets me upset is like I have a lot of discussions with a lot of atheists who are like hardcore, right? And I go in the rooms all the time, and I'm always like the peacemaker in the room. I'm like, okay, guys, like I can see that a lot of my brethren, scientists and mathematicians, I can see very clearly what they're objecting about, because you're coming from a science perspective and saying, look, the burden of proof is on you to believe this. But usually a adherent Christian, like the gentleman who were talking today in one of the rooms I was in, they started from the premise that a lot of this is illogical, but the deeper our faith, the more that's okay. And I was like, that's an interesting way of saying, you're not going to sell somebody who came in from math and science first. So the difference is, like, I had spirituality, religion first before I had math, right? So it's like it's here. You're like holding on to it like a kite, and you're getting stacked up more and more and more knowledge that pushes the like God's supremacy a little bit further away in the picture. So you'll always find me going, yeah, but couldn't it just be that God isn't as super powerful as like it says in the thing? Like, couldn't, because it gives validity to certain things that the devout atheist will say. And I never get me with devout atheism is funny too, because it seems like oxymoronic, because it's like,
right.
How are you sure there's no God? Like, I mean, like, I don't get, just, I don't understand that. Like, there's no premise you can base upon where you can say there's no God. Like, how would you even come to that? Like, what experience have you had that's made you say that, unless you're mad that you've like lost someone, which is understandable, I guess, or whatever, and be like, God on the cross, Jesus on the cross kind of thing. Like, oh God, why have you forsaken me? I get that. You know what I'm saying?
But even that just proves that there is one, like, because you're mad at him. You know what I'm saying?
Proves like, might be a tougher word for me on the scientific burden of proof, but it is maybe an indication.
In that atheist theories, like, if that reason would be because they lost someone that they cared about, and they probably felt like, how could you
abandon me, kind of thing.
You know what I'm saying? That means that we're acknowledging that you exist. So that would kind of, like you were saying, kind of contradict the idea that I don't think a God exists if I'm mad at a God. I
want to share this with you guys, and I do want more Bernard Rhymes, so I don't want to get off the hook, but we always venture when we have our discussions. So I'm going to share with you something that one of my mentors, who I had, who's a professor of mine I had at Harvard, became a great friend. I had him for my last math class, and I've talked about him before. Fly, you've probably heard me talk about him before. His name is Roberto Martinez, and if he's watching the show right now, he's going to be probably all mad at me that I'm sharing his page. So this is something that he posted. And to give a little bit of background, Robbie is a dual PhD in mathematics and physics at Harvard. All right, brilliant, off the chain, ridiculously super smart. Pushed me in many directions that my life has gone in. So I can't say enough about him. But he went to Jesuit school. So to give you some more background, so what he's posting here is an actual picture. And the guy who does these is amazing. I read his website. He didn't even start doing astronomy type pictures until he was 28, when he got a used telescope off Craigslist, and now he has one of the most super powerful ones you can get as a civilian. So anyways, it says, this is a recent composite image, 20-hour exposure of the Andromeda galaxy. And by the way, this is going to lead to neither the pro or negative necessarily for God, but to me it's more of a tacit pro. So anyways, bear with me. And most scientists and mathematicians wouldn't think that until they get to the end. This is a recent composite image, approximately 20-hour exposure of the Andromeda galaxy, taken by amateur astronomer Dustin Gibson. I'll skip over some of this. The galaxy is estimated to be 10 billion years old, shaped like a barred spiral, like the Milky Way and all the other visible galaxies. As our nearest neighbor, it's 2.5 million light years from Earth. So he's walking you through a lot of these numbers to give them some kind of context, right? And approximately, let me blow this up so people can see it, and approximately 222,000 light years in diameter. So give an example. A light year is the distance that light travels in one Earth year, and that's 5,878,625,370,000 miles away. That's a long way. 5,878,625,370,000 miles. It's believed to contain approximately 1 trillion star systems. Just to put that in perspective, a trillion is 1,000 billions and a billion is 1,000 millions, right? That's how many stars we think are in this particular galaxy alone, okay? At one point, we thought only about 150 billion stars would be in each galaxy, but we believe this is closer to 1 trillion from best estimates that you can ascertain from pictures like these. It's believed to contain approximately 1 trillion star systems and has a mass of approximately 1.2 trillion solar masses. So a solar mass is the mass of our sun, which makes up 99.86% of our solar system, the Milky Way. Our solar system with, the sun and the planets. In comparison, the Milky Way, our home, is estimated to be 13.6 billion years old, nearly as old as the universe itself. And let's skip up a little head. Due to these similarities, studying the Andromeda Galaxy helps us understand the Milky Way in ways that we cannot from within it. Together with their smaller satellite galaxies, the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxy make up the local group. Now, here's where you have to start following this tighter, which is part of another local collection of galaxies called the Virgo supercluster, which is in turn a part of a nested series of parent structures. So a group, by the way, contains tens of galaxies. A cluster contains thousands of galaxies, and a supercluster contains tens of clusters. Thus, your cosmological coordinates read. So this is in order of smallness to bigness. Your GPS location on your local map is on the Earth, which is inside of the inner solar system, inside of the solar system, inside of the local interstellar cloud, the local bubble, Orion Arm, Milky Way, the local group, the Virgo supercluster, the Laniakea supercluster, the Pisces-Cetus supercluster complex, the local filament, the observable universe, the universe, ? Philosophical hypotheses hereafter, ? Multiverse, ? Multiverse iteration number X, ? Simulation number Y, ? Perception, ?
Perception.
Yes.
Logos.
Question
The
mark.
word of God.
Logos, the word of God.
Yeah.
Question mark. Okay. So see how he ended that on, right? And so what we're talking about here,
Spoken word.
yeah, in a nutshell, is at the end of which that is the biggest thing. It's neither proof nor rejection for God. It's that question mark is open, and then we turn to our individual faiths, or really go to your respective corner. Really, at that point, for all those on the earth, and so it just always gets me, and I think Robbie would agree too. Of how you can be so positive on one or the other when we know so little, but all we know is that's just awesome. That's a real photographer's photograph, and the rest of the ones on his site are berserk. Incredible photographs this gentleman has, and the process that you caught there at the beginning, letting that thing run for 20 hours and get the apertures correct and all that kind of stuff, and it's just insane. But can't recommend this guy enough. Dustin Gibson, if you get a chance, here, watch Dustin Gibson. He has a Facebook page, but just watch his site here.
I'm going to look
It's a
at
beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. That's me though. I'm kind of in that realm, bro, of just like I'm so deeply rooted in my faith, but I also know that we know so little. We just do.
These are real photographs. So those are not computer simulations. This is his story is insane, bro. And it's like just the pictures are like obviously awe-inspiring. This is the guy, and you go to his website, it's just crazy when you read about this whole procedure that he does. Anyways, yeah, back to Bernard.
Well,
segue.
Based off of all our conversation, that's what I told you, Pro. Like, I got you and I both. We just got artillery of content set.
Artillery.
So I love when people are like, "Oh, let's talk about this." I'm like, I got a poem for that.
I knew you did.
All right, so this one is called Accidents.
Mm.
Humans cause accidents, but don't want to be thought of as an accident. Question: Is the universe, if the universe was caused, or was it an accident? Caused by act of God or act of chance that was happenstance? Humans have accidents, but want to know they were not accident. A pregnancy mistake, in love sex they make, not caught in the heat of a passionate, intimate encounter, but a life who counts more than a flagellate. Humans like to cause accidents, intentional unintention, to get the attention of an attractive glance. Break the tension, break the ice, spill a drink on the lap of pants. Humans hope to cause accidents. Maybe we'll bump into one another again soon, run into each other, meet in passing unplanned. Men want to get into an accident, bump into someone at a party. They say, I'm sorry, it lacked intent. You wish that it could have been meant. Women want to cause an accident. Light turning red, she's turning heads, jaws drop, crash and dent, craning neck, her gender a fender bender, wreck, stopping traffic hit. Humans want to know if they're being because of laws or if by accidents. Deity of gnosis for meiosis and of atom split, true weighted, accurate, for new faded or mutated DNA coded patterns and bits. Humans want to be known, relating and creating accidents, hadron colliding together, smashing atoms and smashing lips, pulling towards one another in a gravity grip, matches mix, share, fond, pairs bond into chemistry and happiness. Humans long for a series of serendipitous consequences, a happy accident, one sequence of events with another meaningful one coming after it, not just a coincidence, but co-incidents, coinciding, combining, crossing paths that twist, winding double helix, bending, binding until matter exists. Humans are accidents waiting to happen, waiting for a match made in heaven, an accident, orchestrated by one who made the heavens and fashioned them, ordered, organized the universe and imagined it. Humans are left speechless, staring at the scene of an accident, glass and debris shattered in the street, on ground around a tree, wrapped and bent, unbuckled in vehicle, helpless and trapped in it, shocked, shook, onlookers helpless, wishing they could have prevented. Birth control, give birth and hold, left speeching at innocent laughing infant, cradling natal, arms cradle, near fatal, lights red and blue flash and spin, carried out, arms around neck, brace locked, arms around lover's neck, embrace, disaster, friends, a beautiful tragic end. Humans are helpless, having no power to pause accidents, reversing the hearse of death and the life of Jaws accidents. Slow motion, love at first sight, sight saw accidents, undo hurt, pursue flirt, hoping to make it happen again. Prevention offender bender, but intention intending tender, crushes and crushed cars, now just a scrap of tin. Two cars merged into one, two people joined as one, marriage and funeral, church, march, professional, family walking past their kin, unsettling, life ending, a new life beginning, two metal rings, tires turning and spinning, revving with speed of faster rims, friction of traction slips, opposite attraction missed. On top of it back it flips, seatbelt not fastened in, people are magnets, position and positive traction grips, skid marks and sparks fly on impact of it. Humans want to know that there is a be cause, a being who caused all the accidents, that everything happens for a reason, happenstance, happens in advance. Planets were planned, and every chapter's written. Love story and all, woman and man, mandatory to fall, and love and from love, woman and Adam tripped right into the accident. People, purpose, non-intention, deep, divine dimension, a free will crafted script, human nature on paper, verse dialogued, unrehearsed, improv, actors and actresses, plots unfold, not control of the role that they're casted in, free to ask why, but cannot defy, and will die at the last and end.
Bro.
Got to snap. Got to snap. I don't even like to snap, and I got to snap for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
The juxtaposition was crazy, bro. The whole people relationships and cars crashing together, that was just crazy, man. And the way you don't let it go is just nuts.
Thanks.
Listen, man. Let me explain something. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I absolutely love the way your mind works. It's beautiful, and it's crazy how you spend so much time writing, and the amount of material that people never hear. That's probably the only flaw with that. How we like as introverts like to spend so much time with yourself is like this creative. It's a lonely process. The creative process,
Right.
especially for writing, is a lonely process. Even if you're a painter, you know what I'm saying? Like you spend a lot of time with the canvas, whatever your instrument is, and in your own head. And then because you're in your head so much, there's so much that comes out that other people don't get to hear for that same reason. Just like, nah, that ain't really. You know what I'm saying? Because you're in your head so much and you hear yourself so much that you don't realize that everything you do is good. And so you find yourself not allowing people to hear the stuff that you have because you spend too much time with yourself. So that's the only thing for me, like that I think about is like that's the only bad thing about it is that I have so much stuff people never hear because I'm like, this is not that. So yeah, I'm gonna make sure you hear this, but this is gonna go half finished and nobody ever hear it.
I'm so glad you did that piece too. I've certainly never heard that, and you're right. That was so fitting to what we're talking about. The thing I would say is this, and this would be this isn't even criticism. This is just something that is true, I think, for everybody in the world, is that you have to commit that one to memory, bro. You have to.
I mean, all these. I mean, it's just like, I mean, to what Fly was just saying. I mean, I feel like the past whatever decade is like pump out stuff.
Yep.
Like there was literally no time to memorize this stuff. It's just so much flowing.
That is so dope, though. I mean, just the way you land on that like every time, bro. For the ear, I mean, we're already waiting for it, and you're just reading poetry to us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you standing on a stage doing that with the command of that thing, like to remember, it's just awe-inspiring how dope that. And first of all, it's so long that it would be hard to fathom that someone would even remember that much stuff, and I certainly know about that too, because I got like oceans of stuff that's so long, and people are like, how did you remember? It's just like, hey man, you work at it. But that one, bro, like just in terms of, see, the thing is it's hard to, is people who do spoken word and rap, it's hard to have those pieces that will shut up the staunch critics. And that will shut up the staunch critics who were like, but where's the real spoken word? You know what I mean? That spoken word with every bit of an MC's approach at it that will shut up all spoken word fans and be like, yo, he's a nice spoken word artist. He's not just a rapper. Not that you necessarily bill yourself that way, but after a while, someone's going to know. They're going to know what I know, that that's a Jedi swinging the sword, like, oh, so you're a rapper. You know what I'm saying?
The saber, baby.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my truest ideal self is to memorize everything, because
everything.
It's like,
but then you're gonna create, and you're way up here. You're trying to create.
Pick one.
It's like now they're on the bottom.
Well, just like anytime I perform, my goal is like, okay, have this memorized, because one, there's the actor element to it where you can move your hands and you can do, like, I can do the accidents,
performance,
because like
performance.
Because so much of it is visual. Like if you read, like if you saw the text of this, like even the way I write it, like it's just like the breaking up of the stanzas. Even like
we all got our way.
Cause accidents.
Yeah,
Like there's a
yeah.
different emphasis, how it comes around, new meaning. But like, yeah, like in the past, like definitely everything memorized. Very seldom do I read stuff, but I gave myself grace over a period
No,
of
you
time.
had to
Like,
read that. That's so fitting, bro. That's so. But now that we know, we're like, yeah, I'm sure.
no,
that you
trust
could-
me. Like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, whenever I see people, like I was watching the video clip today of us doing stuff in school. We're doing a cipher, and since I was planning the cipher, videoing the cipher, I was like, I barely had time to write it, and I had my sheet of paper, and I was like, you can't be in a cipher reading a sheet of paper.
Yeah,
But I was like,
Pulling a
I'm
cannabis.
teaching school, so y'all gonna get this paper wrap right now because
yeah.
like,
did y'all
it's gonna
did y'all ever see that video of Cannabis when he busts out the lyrics when he's in the battle? Oh, it's the word. It's a cry moment. You never seen that fly? He's in a battle. It's pretty recent. It's like 8 years old, recent or something like that. He's doing a show and he's sparring against his battle rapper, and he literally has to whip out the phone. Like he was trying. He's like, I forgot. He's like, and people like,
Right.
boo. It's like, because what? It's cannabis. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right.
can I bust? Yeah, but you can't go to the phone, cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's different. I mean, I've done it too. It shows. I'm like, yo, I just wrote this one. I want to say it to you. I think it's so fitting.
Right.
It's exactly what Bernard did. Stuff sometimes is just so fitting that it's like, you like, I think I need to. You know what I'm saying? But like, we just suddenly started talking about like, oh, you got the periodic table of the elements on your hat. Hey, I happen to got this. You have to say your rhyme about the periodic table of the elements if someone calls you out on
Right.
something. And if you don't have
Well,
it
the other thing I
memorized,
was saying is like over the past decade, I mean, well, I haven't even performed a lot. I know over the past decade, I give myself more grace to read stuff only because it's like, look, I'm in creation mode, and the people when they hear it, like the average person is like, oh,
It's
that's
all new.
amazing. Like they don't even care.
Yeah.
You know, but like when it's like people like us, we're like,
Yeah.
no, bring the sword, like
Yeah.
bring the sword.
Yeah.
But trust me, because I understand that whole like the stage presence. Like, yeah, I love stepping on stage and like surveying the audience and like, oh, y'all don't even know what's about to happen.
You about to
And
get
then
this work.
You go into this thing, and they was expecting you to be like, accidents, everyone calls it accidents. And it's like, nah, like I'm talking to you, like I'm talking to you, and everybody's like,
I'm serving
like,
you.
I love it.
If you saw my graduation speech on the website, okay, so you know what it is, the AMA, what's it, whatever those people do that like multi-level marketing,
Yeah.
where they selling stuff and going on cruises. So somebody
Yeah.
tried to get me involved in that one, and I was like, you know what you need to let me do? I was like, you need to let me, like, either she asked me or I asked to do it. They had one of the little meetings. I was like, yo, you should let me do my graduation poem at your thing. I think I got it on tape too. I see it. The camera. I took the camera and I got it on tape. You
sure did. You had someone filming that. It was right in the front row or something.
So I went up there and I was doing it from memory, and I think everybody was probably expecting some little, like, you know, like we talk about, just some entertainment. But this one girl, the whole time, like she was like literally clutching herself, and her eyes were going.
Yeah, like
she was like, "What is happening right now?" And I was like, "That look
was for you,
ingrained in my head. Like that's what you got to do to people, make them like pop out of their head."
Yeah, I mean, you try to tell people. It's hard to say that, you know, when you know you've written a piece that's going to move somebody, right, and be like, "Yo, this one you're going to really appreciate this," but you don't want to come off like. Yeah, I mean, it's like, because we've done it like 20 times, and we're like, oh, this one is going to, you know, this could change the world, you know, and that's why we write, you know.
So which part of you is that, right? Because, you know, of course, we all know this, right? But which part of you is the identifier? Is it the artist or the fan that knows this is it?
The fan. For me, it's the fan. Like, I know, to answer your question on my end, I'll let Bernard say his. I write what I hope somebody else would have, who usually hasn't. So for me, I'm writing from a fan perspective of what, and this sounds arrogant, so I probably shouldn't say it on air, but I'm going to. I've gotten so good at doing that for myself that I am now my biggest fan. So I love my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm servicing me.
Right.
And I'm imagining that I am every fan, which I'm not. So I'm writing to please my ear and what I want to hear, topics from rappers that I feel aren't said. And I'm like, not just because I feel they're unsaid, it's just because I'm frustrated they're not said. Right. And I'm like, well, I can do that. So let me go do it. And then I'm like, dude, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? And I don't lie to myself. If it's not dope, well, then I just keep working on it until it is that version. So
yeah.
No, this ties in to what we were talking about earlier with favorite rappers, and like you were just saying, oh, I shouldn't say this on air. What I'm about to say, I shouldn't say on air, but I'm going to say it. Well, the first thing is celebrate self. To your question, Fly, self celebration. Like when I do something really good, like I enjoy it just as much as the other person, you know. And I think that's also because I'm a vessel. Like if you're a vessel, you're like, yo, this is just coming through me.
Yep.
And so you can enjoy it too. You're like, yo, that's dope. And she's like, well, you can't praise your own work. It's like I'm the vessel. Like I was the pen in the hand of God.
Just the messenger.
So therefore, I can also enjoy the objective goodness of this thing as well.
I'm doing touchdown dances in the kitchen when I have a lot. I'm like, oh my, how did that happen? Yeah, it's the vessel. It's like, oh my gosh, I did not do this. This is from out there.
Yeah. So it's like, like you're saying, I want to enjoy it just as much as you. Like, and I think about that a lot of times. Like, which do I enjoy? Like, me performing or seeing the look on their face? There's like you get to do both. But okay, so like, who's my favorite rapper? I mean, or favorite performer? I'm honestly gonna say me, and not because it's me, because it's like you were saying. Nobody writes the kind of stuff that I'm looking to hear. Like, so it's like, I want to put these set of words together in this order. I want every syllable to rhyme. I don't want this left out. Like, I'll be listening to other raps. Like, oh, you should have said that. I would have said this. Like, I'm correcting other rappers. So am I saying I'm the best rapper? No, but I'm like, to me, I'm like my favorite rapper because I know I'm going to give myself what I want to hear.
Yeah. I would pay a lot of money to hear you. Which is the ultimate sign of respect that you can have. I said this to Quo about Fly when I first heard him. Well, actually, not when I first heard him, probably the second time, because he showed me your video first.
Yeah.
And there's something different about when you actually get to hear someone say just their rhymes, as opposed sometimes to seeing the video and all that kind of stuff. It can distract you, and then you have to go back and go, wait a minute, what did he say? And sometimes videos don't do it. But the first time I got to actually hear you rhyme, it was in that kind of like, oh, I'd pay to hear that dude rhyme. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that to me is like where I'm always like doing the whole because I'd pay to hear no one rhyme. Like Big Daddy Kane's playing 45 minutes from my house in 2 weeks. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? And Big Daddy Kane's one of my favorite rappers of all time. Now, granted, I've paid money to see him before, but not often. My wife bought me tickets to see him as a surprise gift in Boston once. I saw him in concert twice, played with him once, opened up for him, and actually, no, I've never have. Now I'm thinking about it, I never have actually paid my money to go see him. Although he was on tour with another. Yeah, I actually did. I did. But I snuck into the show, so it doesn't count. It didn't actually buy the ticket. I was prepared to. I went there, but I snuck in. Chuck D actually let me in. Fee knows because he was there. We walked in. He gave us backstage passes and became a lifelong dude for us. And shout out to Chuck. Who endorsed Professor Lyrical's book. He said, y'all should go out and buy this Rapidemic Reacher's book. Fantastic book. I fell off my chair that day.
Shameless plug.
Put it on Twitter and I was like, I mean, pretty much my life was done at that point. I was like, it's all bonus from here. I was like, it's all bonus. And he read the part that I wrote about him in the book about that experience. And he was like, you put that in. I was like, bro. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I didn't even pay for Kane, and I love Kane. But that's what you say. Like when I'd be willing, I would pay if someone was saying what I say. Whoever they are, and then I think about who are the closest people to do what I do, and they typically become like Lauryn Hill to me is very much in line with the kind of stuff that I write, and Pharoah Monch and Chip Fu from a skills perception or what was the word I wanted from a skills standpoint, and the same thing with AZ. Sometimes my flow is very AZ because I'm very heavily influenced by that, because that to me is what sounds musically correct. Like Rakim and AZ are so correct with what they do that it's hard to deny. And that if you don't mention them, I question your intelligence. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Only way you could ever question that is you just never heard Rakim, right? You just don't know any better. It's just like ignorance. But I mean, in that regard, man, there's so many people that who struggle with that question, the same dynamic of which portion of you got that humility and you just like you don't want to be vain about enjoying your own music. But it's the fandom in you, like you said, just being a vessel, you like good quality music and you just know it when you hear it. And then it's their confirmation too that you've done it so much and for so long and you consistently gotten that confirmation from other people too, like, oh yeah, that's nice. Oh yeah, that's nice. And you keep hearing that, then you know you become certain. It's just like one of my other crafts, things that I'm just probably like really great at is cooking, right? I went to culinary art school and I've been in food service and operations management for a long time. And I just like, I can go in the kitchen, bro, and I could grab the salt and I can perfectly season anything. Right? Just
I can
perfectly. Like, I don't care what the volume is. I don't care how big, how small. I know. I just know.
You got the chemistry down.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and I know it's a science and it's an art, right? And so it's just like, but that comes from so many times practicing that and having people to say, oh yeah. Oh,
yeah, take
and
God-given,
myself too.
Take God-given and take genetics out, which could be the same thing, right? Take that out of the equation. It's always just practice. There's no secret. I mean, but practice without passion is kind of like, you know, faith without works. You know what I'm saying? It's very similar.
It's just like the difference between just having a car and a car with a motor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have a vessel, but it needs to be something that drives it too.
Yeah, like you just picture a mechanic or a carpenter doing a job, like hammering the nails. Oh damn, I gotta hammer these nails. Right. You know, you're totally competent, but at some point you're gonna miss one of the nails and be like, ah, screw it. You know, and it's like where I would never do that with a rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's never gonna happen. You know, like I'm gonna hit every nail, and if I notice I missed, I'm gonna go. Like today, I sent a track to this dude who's going into the final mix, and I keep listening to myself on the track. And I'm like, I'm behind the beat on that. And first of all, I'm like a robot when it comes to on the beat. I'm never off the beat, like never, right? So my program though throws me a second ahead a lot of times because I'm using this cheesy audio program, right? And it just throws me ahead, and then I move it back. And I lied to myself when I stuck it back. I was like, oh, that's right. So I missed the nail. I lied to myself. Now, granted, I was featured on his track, and shout out to Trey if he's watching. But I just kept hearing, I'm like, there's no, I'm not, the instrument's never off. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I had to go back into the mix today. And when I tell you, I had to blow this thing up like 6,000 times to be able to move it the slightest amount to the right. And I listened, I was like, it's right now. It's in the, you know, the spot, right? It's in the spot. And I was like,
you to do a feature.
Oh, it's my man Trey.
What?
It's my man Trey. Yeah. He's we were match made.
I can't believe
I got like 6 of them actually in the works, and I've been telling you for a year. I'm trying to change that whole philosophy. It's just,
bro,
this is the disclaimer. Thank you. This is the disclaimer though. Is as long as you're not time sensitive, you know what I'm saying. And if it's somebody who I respect artistically, right? And he's way out there compared to like what I do, which is another reason. And we met. He drove here from Richmond, Virginia, to meet up with me. To propose, you know, meeting each other, because we had only been talking online, and drove out, and I'm just like, this dude is just like so solid, you know what I'm saying? Like, just such a good person. And if I could tell you his backstory, it's just unbelievable. So shout out to Trey. But anyways,
we got to get Trey up here, man. When y'all drop that joint, man, we got to run it on the program.
I told him that tonight. I was like, hey, you know, he's probably checking it out. But anyways, yeah. And so I think a lot of times where and just to wrap up on that feature kind of thing, you know, I'm just being upfront with people, just saying, hey, like I'm behind on like 20 different tracks right now for myself, you know, and for projects that are actually important that I'm scheduled on. So by the time I get to your thing, it's not that once I get to it, it'll be quick, but I just don't, you know what I mean? I think that's before I felt like I was letting people down because I'd be like, you know, truthfully a lower priority. And I wasn't excited necessarily about what they were doing, and it could just sit there. And I'm like, I don't want to be that dude. You know, I don't want to be that dude who's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get your track done, and really have hoping they forget about it. You know what I'm saying? I've told people it's very awkward when people are like, yo, what do you charge for a feature? When people ask it, they go, what do you charge for a feature? I charge enough so that you don't want to do it.
Right.
What is your number? Tell me, and I'll charge $1 more. It's like Price is Right. You know, like I'll be over. Do you think I'm worth 600? Funny. I'm 601.
This man,
You know what I'm saying?
this man.
I don't want to do it.
You did a feature, bro. I'm like so.
But
I'm shocked, bro.
No, I've tricked myself into a whole different philosophy, which is
great.
It's another conversation, but it's no. I had my coming to Jesus moment like about 4 months ago, and it was a long time coming. But I'll let you in on it more when we off the air. Another time.
This is great, bro. This is great. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm glad you did.
I think we need a freestyle moment. I think we might need a freestyle moment.
We could do some freestyle.
Fly, what do you want to say?
Freedom Corner.
Oh, you want to rhyme about Freedom Corner?
No. I was just asking about the
Bernard, have you heard our song Freedom Corner?
No, you were mentioning it last time we were talking to Saki on Clubhouse.
So Fly's on it.
This is that month.
So
ideal opportunity.
It starts getting promoted tomorrow, I believe, to radio. Which is cool. When I say tomorrow, meaning I am making it official, so it'll probably start Monday. So this, I'll let you hear it, Bernard. Orchard Instant. Hold on, I gotta. You're really gonna hear Fly is what you're gonna hear.
Bro, don't allow him to. Don't trust me. That's that Jedi mind trick right there.
What?
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't heard you. I mean, he's heard me. He knows what I sound like. I just don't remember what I called this thing. Instant. I'm just trying to find my hidden tiny URL. Oh, I think I know. tinyurl.com/instant brotherhood promo. I'm looking for that Sony not for fans. You know what I'm talking about? The media
one.
Yeah, I found it. Okay. Yeah. Tell me though if this plays when I share audio. Tell me if this plays. Just say yes right out the gate or not. Oops. I'm doing a terrible job. All right, is this a yes or a no?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna let that run. So it's Quo, me, and then Fly Massacre in the end. So Freedom Corner is the label.
Legendary.
Freedom Corner is the location.
Yeah.
Freedom Corner is the fam.
Let's make it known, you know what I mean?
Shout out to Legendary on the beat.
How you feeling, how you doing though? Instrumental hit the studio. Truly more than making music, so fan first, stand firm for that Freedom Pro. Plans work, we immerse with the jury though. Yeah, how you feeling, how you doing though? Instrumental hit the studio. Truly more than making music, so fan first, stand firm, what you doing, quote. I'm on the corner free riding with my clique in them. Before Atlanta, Mississippi hit the map off of discipline. Disciples at the table thinking labels made it Timberlands. Recycled off the majors, quarantine, I'm in the crib again. Playing daddy, school teacher, and a hooligan. I'm on salary, not married, but I'm rudiment. The queen cheers, so it's cheers, bottles moving in. That's weekdays, long nights, videos all Peruvian. A big dream texturized on a podium. Reflect the vibes, hope you feel what I sow in them. We on books, former crooks, tall castles, no linoleum. There's no church, but I preach on this flow we in. The temple is my mental, so the soul is detrimental. When I hit the instrumental with the pen, don't use a pencil. You understand the code, so conversion is eventual. No diversion, I'm essential. How you doing though? Instrumental hit the studio. Truly more than making music, so fan first, stand firm for that Freedom quote. Plans work, we immerse with the jury though. Yeah, how you feeling, how you doing though?
Feeling good.
Instrumental hit the studio. Truly more than making music, so fan first, stand firm, what you doing, bro?
You can place me in the verses with these rappers this hot, and I will place them in these hearses in the back of a box. Got a catalog that stretches like a jack in a box. Underground, I am legend, the original plot. Stop provoking how I'm poking, ember stoking the flames. Freedom riding on some Stokely before he change up his name. Changing the game, my whole education was lame. Mega Evers, no one ever even mentioned his name. Martin either, even him, barely a quarter of a page. We learned nothing about that corner where that freedom was laid. A shame. Now many corners where there's MLKs, boulevards, grilling hard, still things ain't changed. Is we supposed to leave the hood or is we supposed to refrain? Trying to play the Eric Sposter, era post King James. Spit flames, how we handle that heat. Gripping that rosary while getting our Romarion, doing it how it's supposed to
How
be.
you feeling? How you doing though? Instrumental hit the studio. Truly more than making music, so fan first, stand firm for that freedom, yo. Plans work, we immerse with the jury, though. Yeah, how you feeling? How you doing though? Instrumental hit the studio. Truly more than making music, so fan first, stand firm. What you doing, yeah?
Forever lives your way. Freedom Corner, free from the corner. About to get it poppin' like corn, it's a warmer. Had the ultimatum like my name chasing porn, but changed up my life cause it was jail or the corner. My life is like a movie, I ain't talking Time Warner. Spirit got me speaking different language like a foreigner. Yeah, cold summers and the winters getting warmer, so I'm really out of pocket like a young Kurt Warner. I warned you, only judge a book by its chapters. Pencil that he pistol for them pistols leaving captive. That melanin is gold, so I'm knowing what they after. You only live twice, so I'm living for the afterlife. All crack don't need him being subliminal. The way I'm killing beats, you would think they ought to be criminal. New era, but no cap, and I got that bag in the intervals, and it's blessings on blessings. Gotta know that harvest is plentiful.
How you feeling? How you doing though? Instrumental hit the studio. Truly more than making music, so fan first, stand firm for that freedom, yo. Plans work, we immerse with the jury, though.
Yo, bro, that freedom corner is stupid. Oh my God, bro. I'm in the car with my girl now, bro. When I get to the crib, I'm finna bump this on the studio monitor.
Yeah.
The hook remind me of Rap's MVP.
I'm Rap's MVP.
No, not Big L. Isn't it? It's the other. Isn't it like it's? I don't know. It's 50 the game. And what is it? The
Envy Me. That's his game. I'm the rap MVP. And
I'm
nowhere, so you can get to know me, hater, the lover, the underdogs on top.
He had to switch that hook up because we changed it.
Yeah, that wasn't the. It was similar, but that wasn't the original hook that he had sent.
Yeah. So what made you say it? You just wanted to hear the Freedom Corner?
Yeah, and I was just kind of been on my mind because I got some stuff I need to get to you, in the next couple of days. But no, man, because it was funny, man. Because I heard the craziest joke, man. But Kevin Hart was here in Jackson yesterday. He's probably still here again tonight too. But yeah, I was thinking about the whole Freedom Corner concept, man. Just the time that we're in, just seeing a lot about Black History Month and stuff like that. Right. So man, I want to just raise that awareness about people, especially just minorities as a whole, man. But as a believer too, man, just the underdog, man. Anybody that is struggling with that liberty. I just always feel like the desire to really just bring exposure to that and just kind of tie with the whole show and the song and everything like that. So. But yeah, Freedom Corner, man. I'm on my way tomorrow to the Freedom Corner here on Medgar Evers Boulevard and Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
Getting some video footage and some pictures. Yeah. I was talking to LD. He was telling me, so he's gonna be sending me that footage soon. So I'm looking forward to that. I said get some stills. But yeah, we're gonna have that one to radio to. It's gonna go out to 60,000 DJs. We'll get that, and we're dropping. So Freedom Corner is going to radio for the remainder of February. That'll be out there and beyond, up until when my solo joint there, That's Pro, comes out on the 18th.
Pro.
Yes, sir. And then we're gonna do Dive In It. We're gonna make sure that we get Dive In It out there as well. Also, at the end of the month, we're gonna have Dive In It, and we're thinking of doing Apologize off of the album as well for a very different take, but possibly Gravity. We're not sure what that next song will be, but those are the ones still coming off that album, and that's just, we got so much on that album that we want to make sure people get a chance to fairly hear. Bernard, in terms of freestyling, I'm thinking we might might, if you're up for it, Bernard, we don't need a beat. And we will be off beat if there's a beat because it will not hit on the right time.
Yeah, the delay.
How you feeling, Fly? How you feeling, Bernard?
I'm always down for freestyle. I mean, it's like breakfast. You
Gotta let the people hear the Jedi skills, man. So, Fly, when you think of yourself as a freestyle artist, where do you place it in comparison to your written skills? So,
at this stage, I'm probably 90-10. On the written side.
On the written side, 90-10.
Yeah, 90-10 on the written side. When if you had to ask me that question maybe 5 years ago, it'd probably be almost the exact opposite. Like, even though I've always written, it's just when I first really got serious about writing, it was about rap was really high school. Like, being a rapper was in high school. And we all know how hard it was to get into production and get into the studio. So most of what you did, man, was you just spitting. You know what I mean? It was just rapping. And so I think that's why the freestyle era, as we know it, has kind of gone away, because it's so convenient to get a beat, to record, and all that kind of stuff. But when I was coming up, y'all, you couldn't. It was hard to get a beat. And then we finally got creative when we was able to kind of like record over stuff on the jukebox and all that. But yeah, so I grew up freestyling. That's all I did. And it's definitely one of those things that you only good at because of the practice. And, you know, you have to learn how to detach. Because if you're thinking when you're freestyling, that's the worst mode to be in. It's just kind of like you got to be ahead of yourself.
I've had moments, though. I've had moments throughout the journey, where I haven't had time to freestyle for significantly for like pockets of like a year at a time, where there was so much writing going on, so much deadlines and so much stuff. It kind of like that when I was doing the ProQuo album. Like, I mean, I freestyle all the time unless I'm working on a project, you know what I mean? Then it's using the writing muscle, which are definitely different muscles, but they're similar, but they're, and by the way, I got to ask both of you about this mental process thing that somebody posed to me for a podcast I'm doing. You guys are gonna love this question. We'll do it right after the freestyle. It's about your mental process when you're thinking. This is an amazing question. All right then. So Bernard, what about yourself, by the way? 90-10, what are you, 90-90?
I mean, presently and for a long time, my freestyle has not been up to my written. Well, I won't get into all of it. Basically, I remember the last time where I felt like my freestyle was like just like dripping off me was like junior year high school. I was like, yeah, this is it. And then something happened. It's not by my choice.
Something happened.
It's not like I don't try. It's just a lot of times.
Here's the thing.
It's just like I get flustered. It's not even like I can't freestyle. It's just like I get flustered and I get stuck in
too many thoughts. Rakim says it, right? All sorts of thoughts fought for exposure.
So if you were coming to me and was like, "Oh, we want you to freestyle," I mean, I could, because I'm like I said, I use freestyle as a continual process to not get caught in fear. Like if someone says go, you'd be like, "Yeah, I should be able to do that," so I don't get caught in like, "Oh no, I don't do that."
Right.
But if you want me to come and like blow you away, give me the time to write. That's what you want. If you're gonna pay a lot of money, pay me to write.
Yes. That's why I tell people too. I'm like, if you want the party show, you're gonna be more impressed by the freestyle. If you just want to hear, some quick kind of stuff. But if you really want something that's worth, paying the top dollar for, yeah, exactly. You want to hear what we can do when we have time to perfect it. But yeah, I'd say in a somebody's asking how they can book their artist on our show. So, by the way, if you're asking how you can book an artist on the show, just email us at our Gmail address. It's just theproquoshow@gmail.com. It's that easy. Just email us. Send the artist music, preferably in an MP3 or a link that plays without commercials, and we'll follow up from there. That's it. Anyways. Yeah, just for me, it's plus or minus 5% either way. It really kind of depends on the day, and sometimes it depends on the beat. From freestyling to a beat, if it's the right beat, I'm just like, ooh, watch out. But if it's acapella, you know what I'm saying? It's like plus or minus 5. But all right, so what we gonna do? We need a topic. We're just gonna let it rip.
So, yeah, pick a topic, I guess.
Topic, yeah.
I'll start whatever your topic is, and then whoever wants to jump in.
Topic.
I'm looking at Fly's hat. I see magic.
Magic.
We're thinking about magic, but Fly's thinking something else. He didn't want to say it, so I'm gonna say it myself. I think he was talking about the star in between the M and G, like Magna or the Magna Carta we see, but not the MAGA hats, because that's a whole different color. Oh, my brother. We saw one when we was filming the video. He actually had it, so we put it in the House of Lies video. We was glad we had it. I know I said had it twice, but I'm nice like that, and I can freestyle words off the top of your hat or off the top of my dome. I got the think letters too. TH, the I, and the K just for you. And if you know what those are, well, that's really dope, because you got the periodic elements, and that means there's hope. And I don't know why I'm flowing to this beat that I'm making up, because when I'm freestyling, I should be just doing when I'm waking up, like rising, flowing, showing no surprising. Northeastern on the words on the shirt. I'm not despising. I'm loving, because they paid for the doctorate. I authored it, and now I put it out, so it's common sense. But not the rapper, though. I got his book near me. Truthfully, dare me. Y'all don't want to fear me, hear me, scare me. I don't even care. I'm a freestyle right here, and I'm going to pass it over there to that person. No, I meant this one. It's backwards. We always talking about how I always gotta get that addition and subtraction mastered, but I never have it. They say, yo, he's mathematics. He should understand which way he's pointing. Oh, I'm gonna drop it like that. Now I'm gonna bring it like that. I meant to do it to my right, but I still hit Bernard, and I didn't hit your hat. So Bernard, I'm passing it to you, because you're the guest in the house, so you can take it away, raise the roof like this old house.
Yo, he gave me the mic so I can have it. Yo, causing havoc like Mob Deep Havoc. He got the hat that's magic, but matter of fact, you got a hat that's magic. I'm like Sister Act 2. I'm back in the habit. Like we said, L Boogie, she getting back in the habit. Like a magic trick, pull it hat out the rabbit. Like a dog biting you that's rabid. Yo, back in the days, the Cabbage Patch Kids in the cabbage. Yo, eat your vegetables, intellectual cabbage. Now I'm about to come through and I'm about to ravish. Yo, you looking kind of famished. I'm not an amateur, but I am mature. Yo, that's what I'm mature said. Immature said when they changed their name. Pro coming up here, they about to change the game. Yo, they trying to get them dollars, not just get some change in the game. You could call me Prince. I'm about to change my name. Call me Kanye. I'm about to change my name. Rearrange the lane. Yo, stay in your own lane. Use your own brain. Do your own thing. Blow up like propane. Never snort no cocaine. Yo, but he say he loves Kane, but he never go to Kane. Yo, he never go to Kane. He only go to Raising Canes. Yo, he raising hell, raising Canes. He got an amazing brain, eating that raisin brain, or should I say raisin brand. This is stream, restream, not Zoom where you raise your hand. Yo, but my kids never raised their hand because they was never in class. Yo, but I still had to give them all a grade that passed. That's why I'm trying to get about this American education system, because it's American legislation system, and it's fake. It ain't really with them. They ain't really using the wit in them. Yo, we should be doing this in class, using that freestyle that we spit in them. Yo, Pro, we was talking about atoms, galaxies, and atoms, and we split in them. Now I gotta pass it to which side would fly wherever he's sitting.
Sitting M. Speaking of M, that be the first letter on the hat. Speaking of hat, I guess I would say I'm all that. And speaking of hat, I'm coming straight from the top. It's like Legos when I build, they're probably straight from the block, but that's straight where I came from. Refrain from anything that would challenge me to be anything than what I came from. You know, from the block, from the east to the west, straight to the shy, to back to the south, to the south, to get it straight. I'm not shy, I'm just bashful. But we also say I'm like introverted. But if I said that I hated kids, that wouldn't sound real, like, you know, considering the fact that I have 5 or so. I had to be careful when I blurted. So I'm real careful about the thing that I say. And so nowadays, it's religious rap is kind of the thing that I carry. It's okay. But I'm real more passionate about being passionate about the coaching and change and the effect that it have when I'm rapping about and anything that I'm rapping about. And they question me, I'm like, what you really asking about? And so when I think about the time that I had to really just elaborate on my flow, I'm like, man, this could be all night when I just let it go. And I'm thinking about Pro, how much he inspires. I'm thinking about the time that my pocket was flatter than a tire, and so I grind and I hustle to get where I am. I manage the operations. The operation just managed to manage my operation. The operation changed like a game of operations and just carefully hit the side. I don't want that buzzer. But I'm like Steph Curry when I shoot all net at the buzzer. I cannot quit, but I'm fly to death, and I ain't talking about buzzers. And if you really want to know the truth, I'm like reaching to the top shelf like I'm looking for something in the cupboard. And so when I get there, I'm like, I ain't talking nothing under the cover. I'm talking the stuff that you can see like on the front of a cover. Yeah, anyway.
So I had to discover that I'm the in the middle brother, not the undercover brother. I don't mean to smother or take a second turn, but I'm a jump in the middle, then I'm gonna get this earn. You said you're passionate about what you're passionate about. That was kind of dope. I think you said something like when I'm passing it out, like lessons in the class when Bernard's kids are passing on out, like they ain't paying attention, so he's kind of peed off. He's like, all these kids here getting this A, they G'd off, and they ain't even here because they actually G'd off. And so I'm understanding how the system really works. So it's kind of berserk. They cap like Kirk. They really be capping in class until we freestyle, and then they ask you why don't we do it in math, and we do. Sometimes we freestyle and it's true, but I say actually, kids, there's a little more to do. And they ain't always kids. Sometimes they're older than me in my own class. Actually, the first one that I taught at Lowell at the university, I had this lady, she walked up out of my class. I was like 20 something, and she had to ask, she said, yo, what's your age? Because you're younger than my son. And she's like, I can't have this class being taught from anyone who's that young. And so she got up and left. That was my first day teaching. I was like, what are you talking about? I went home and told my mom, I was like, can you believe this lady? She was freaking. She walked out and said, you're too young. That was like ageism. I was like, listen, I'm trying to get my pageism. I wanted to have her like hate me for the rhymes I put on the page. At least that I could understand, because she was like, that's not for what I paid. I came to hear some math and you came here to rap. And every night when I sing my song to bed, it's always about those giraffes. See, I make up a giraffe story that we've been singing since he was old enough to listen. And every single night he goes to bed and he says, Daddy, can you do the giraffe song? That's the G to the F. And I'm like, okay, it only has one melody and it's always freestyled, and it's always about the same giraffe kids that play in the park meanwhile. And even the names of those giraffes, they almost never change. They're the same friends of his. Once in a while, one enters the page. It was like a friend from school last week, and we put it in the song. And the funny thing is they're always playing in a park right here where we belong. And the park in my head kind of looks like the one over there. And one day we were playing football, throwing the ball through the air. And I said, hey, Henry, isn't that the giraffe park right there? And he looked at me and he said, Dad, yeah, it was kind of dope. We had the same picture in our head. We were imagining the place that we would both go to when we were sleeping, and we could represent with the idea of the picture in the same type dream. And that's like something you think about in the movie when two people have the exact same DRE. Didn't want to say dream twice because that would be the same rhyme and it's old. So I put the A and the M on the end, because that's how you spell dream. It's in the AM when you wake up and you had a dream. The other day, my son, he says he doesn't actually dream. And he woke up and went, Daddy, what happened with the plane? And I said, what? He said, oh, I don't know. And I realized that he actually had a dream. And so that was pretty cool. I was like, you were dreaming about a plane, because he came home last week. And let me explain. He was talking about the Twin Towers because he read it in a book. And so he wanted to know everything, like even how they looked, like what were they thinking, Daddy, like when the plane went down. And after the second plane hit, he came back and he told me, he said, Daddy, they must have actually known that there was something going on that was more than just a random coincidence. It couldn't have happened on its own. And I was like, yeah, my son's pretty smart. He said, do you remember when it happened? I said, yeah, it was when I got my start teaching. It was the first year I was driving to the school, and I heard it when I was almost there. So I told all the students that I wasn't really prepared, and if they felt like going home, then they should probably get prepared and get up out that chair. And they didn't want to leave because they weren't sure about the air. And then when they canceled all the planes, they were like, what's going on up there? So they stayed in those chairs, and we stayed and we talked, and I really had nothing to say. And the conversation was sparked, and we talked a lot of hip hop just to make the time pass. And we freestyled like this while we were sitting there in class. Yeah. Yes. I don't know why I got bonus.
With the DJ.
See, I thought you were going to take it with the DRE. I thought you were going to say still DRE.
Woo, still DRE.
I still DRE AM. That's going to be the next single.
Hey, so I'm gonna sing that's a good segue to the halftime show.
That halftime. So let's say that halftime show for me was exactly what I thought it would be and what I hoped it would be. I mean, it was 93% a facsimile of what I knew that would be. I don't know what y'all thought, but I was just like,
So was that 7% Kendrick?
no, the 7% was I didn't expect the visual. I was
Okay.
thinking it was going to be this massive party. I wasn't really thinking about COVID, I guess, and I realized that that's why they did it. And I thought the set was actually doper than anything I'd seen before for a Super Bowl. So I was just like,
Absolutely, man. The whole thing was, man.
I knew 50 was going to be there, but you know,
Shout out to Jay, man, for making it happen. It was big, man. We needed it, man. Well, this is one thing that, and you know, when I say culture, I'm referring to, I guess, the intangible part of every environment, right? Not just anything specific, but I guess in this case, when it comes to just like hip hop culture, how we have, or it has influenced pretty much every aspect of American lives, but it doesn't really hadn't gotten the respect, you know, like at halftime shows. How many artists, or especially like sports, when it comes to like NBA or NFL, how many of those people are inspired by rappers and want to be rappers themselves, and you know they warm up to hip hop, or you know just their favorite artists are hip hop artists, and just a thing. I just feel like hip hop should have had a bigger stake, a bigger stage, way before now, as it relates to, you know, the billions of dollars that people make off of hip hop, and not really, you know, promote it in the sense that, you know, intentional about making it more of a bigger part of the, you know, those components. So I was happy, man. That was a happy moment for me. Long overdue.
Well, I think I saw my first year teaching at this school. Ninth Wonder came to UVA and did like a 1 week artist in residence, and he did a lecture in the Rotunda Thomas Jefferson lawn. Yeah. And so he made this interesting point, which I had never heard. He said, you know, hip hop, or he said not just hip hop, he said like a lot of movements usually have like two parts, like the party, the celebrate side, and then there's like the serious, like social justice side. And he said, you know, the part of hip hop that's usually accepted is like the let's get part, like, you know, the Sugar Hill Gang, let's party. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what you're dealing with, is that tension. Is like people are always like, okay, so no, what are they going to be performing now? Like it's going to be the, you know, the party song. Okay, but we don't want the Kendricks. You know, we don't want the Kendricks. Yeah. Because I tell you a story from my middle school. It was crazy. Like we had this talent show, and I was like, oh, I was so excited. I think I had just started to rap. No, I didn't rap till like, no, yeah, actually, I was 8th grade, so I first started to write raps in 7th grade, and like I had never rapped in front of anybody, like, so I got these little index cards, and I was, you know, writing all my lyrics. I got this instrumental, and I remember after school, like literally, because we had teams too, so you had like the history, math, science, English teacher. You just stayed with those 4 teachers your whole class. So like literally like 2 or 3 of them at my locker as I was about to go on the bus, and they were like, so like, are we gonna be able to read this rap before you do it or whatever? Right, and I was like I instantly knew, like no one had to tell me. I just instantly felt the like, I bet this is not happening to anyone else in the talent show. No one had to ever explain this moment to me. I just felt very uncomfortable, surrounded by teachers. And so then I remember I shouldn't have done it, but I lied. I was like, yeah, it's not finished yet. But I just felt so uncomfortable, like how I was being treated. That was what I said. And it's just like those kind of moments where it's like, it's always suspected that there's going to be something that pops off that we're not going to be able to recover for. You got to take into account too. They're probably thinking, remember Justin and Janet?
Yeah.
At that time, yeah, probably, definitely.
I think about how many times I've had to do that too. Like sort of like turn the lyrics in when it was iffy, you know, like, and then I think of the privilege moments where that never happened for me, right? Like, so I'm thinking about just the sheer amount of times that I've rapped where just people are going to ask, you know, and I've been like, well, we do need to kind of see what you're going to be saying, you know, when it would be especially the only rap performance that was there or whatever. And I think of the times it didn't happen. Like the first time I rapped in my high school in 9th grade on the table, passing the Kango around, kind of, you know, very traditional moment, which really happened, and it was overflowing. the teachers set it up. It's like the teachers were like, "Yo, Lyrical's gonna rap. You know, he's gonna get up and rap." It was like advertised. I mean, think about it. And that was a pretty white school. My high school was, and they were just like, "Get on up." I mean, I couldn't believe it because it was at a time where rap was not very popular. You know, it was kind of like, you know, especially with the, you know, NWAs and all that kind of stuff. You know, like that kind of momentum, Public Enemy, and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh my gosh, he might say something that's like that. You know, no, it was none of that. Like at that time. So, to your point, it's like, yeah, you having to kind of experience that and be like, I don't need anyone to tell me that I'm the dude who's getting this story. And I was always kind of like, it was like 50-50. You know what I'm saying? It might get oh gee, it's so good. Look what he's gonna do. You know? And then the other time it was like, you're gonna do what? We're gonna need to see those lyrics. You know.
Let me tell you this other story I just remembered. I should string all these stories together in some kind of book or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was college, and so another talent show. And the funny thing is, like, I don't know. Sometimes this weird stuff happens where like you meet people and then they act like they don't know you. So this girl who was organizing a talent show, like we had known each other for I think like a year. We lived in the same dorms, and so then I don't know if she like moved away to another dorm and came back, but she was organizing the talent show. And I called the number that was on the flyer. I said, "Oh yeah, I saw the talent show we're going to be having. So I want to be in." She's like, "Oh great. So what will you be doing?" So I haven't decided yet. You know, it's like, because I play the piano, but also rap. So she's like, "Oh, well, this isn't going to be anything offensive, is it?" Like that was literally the words out of her mouth. Like number one, like literally, like your first.
You were just offensive to me.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't ask I didn't even get the courtesy of, "Can you turn it in?" It was literally like, "This isn't going to be offensive." Oh no, of course not. Of course not. Like, what do you want me to say? She said,
absolutely it is.
But yeah,
yes,
but then
of course it is.
But then this is what she said. She's like, "Yeah, like I think you're going to play the piano. Like that's probably going to be like something like basically telling me what I'm going to do in a talent show that I'm volunteering to do."
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's crazy. We were so influenced at the time. Like when I say we, by the time I was rapping with my group, we were so influenced by Public Enemy, like early on, because of having the meeting Chuck D moment or whatever, like that. My entire life was writing politically charged raps and writing like racial equality, and you know, like I was writing about like Mandela since I was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like those kind of raps, and every opportunity that I could to be like, I'm gonna write this rhyme and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna piss the teachers off. You know, it was always like kind of an especially happy moment for me. Not too much has changed, but
yeah, man. Yeah,
yo, you guys got to see this. All right, so I got to find it though. But oh yeah, I found it. All right, I just got to see if I can share it with you. So I didn't actually fully read this on a PC. I read it on my phone earlier, so I'm just seeing now in its full glory what it actually is. So check this out. How on point is this podcast? This is what I get from the people doing the podcast. So they said, "Oh, sending you the confirmation thing today. We want you to read all this stuff about the podcast." So check this thing out. By the way, this is Monday, but I think that's just recording. I don't think it's live, right? The writing on the board. Welcome. Thank you for agreeing to be a guest, right? I mean, this is on point, right? Before the episode, what the mission is, right? Contact info, email, anything else, all about the show. All right, so there's a study this person's doing, right? So, and I don't really know her that well, but her name is Coach Tony, and I think I met her, Bernard, indirectly through Clubhouse, right? And check out what she posed here. You're gonna love this. This is some meta stuff right here. I have a practice of asking every guest that joins her for an episode whether or not they have an internal monologue. What is an internal monologue? There are some people who hear their voice in their head when they think. Others cannot. Some who cannot hear the voice when they think see their thoughts in pictures versus hearing their thoughts in words. If, when you are thinking, but not physically speaking, you hear your own voice in your head, you have an internal monologue. Why? I do not have an internal internal monologue and want to collect data about people who do versus people who don't, and what type of people they become. And this is just a total offshoot from what the show is about. This aspect of human life is not talked about much, but I believe that it does have implications in schooling. Maybe there's a reason why some kids talk a lot. They do not hear themselves, or they are withdrawn. They do not hear themselves. Maybe some students do better on tests because the silent environment allows for them to hear themselves talk through a problem. Perhaps babies who start talking late are conducting monologues in their head before they decide to speak. This may become a hot topic in the future of education. I would like to be a pioneer of that work. What do y'all think about that?
That's interesting, bro. That's interesting. But who really knows if they have an internal monologue? Like,
I mean, it did have me sitting there. I mean, I was at the barbershop actually sitting there and thinking about it, and I was like, do I have an internal monologue in my head? I mean, what do you think, Bernard?
Well, yeah, the way she described it, I was thinking to myself, like, do I actually hear my own voice in my head? And I guess the answer is yes and no. Like, because obviously
Mine's yes and no too.
You hear your audible voice, and so you're physically used to hearing what that sounds like. So it's like, do I hear my same audible voice in my head? No, but like, do I hear like a loud? Like I always tell people, like if you were inside my head, it would be loud to you. Like people was like, "Oh, how are you so quiet?"
But here's what I think she's getting at. Correct me if I'm wrong, and it really has me question it. So it's a great thought for me. I'm thinking even right now as I'm forming these words, am I hearing them a half a second or whatever the split second is before? Like, in other words, how do we know what it is we're about to say? Is it premeditated at some almost light speed that we can't conceptualize? Or do you clearly hear these words? Like, I do not hear the words that I'm about to say. They're just coming out of me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, because before you even brought that up, when we were freestyling, I was thinking about that exact same thing. I was like, how do I know I'm going to say, Mike, God, Night Squad? Like, how do I know I'm going to connect these rhymes?
I can hear that, though.
Come yet.
I can hear that a little. I know once I sort of commit to it, I can feel my brain thinking at that point. But I do not feel my brain thinking when I'm just speaking like right now. The words are just coming out. The truth of it are forming into words. Like my truth is here and the words are forming about them. But I'm not thinking the thought like ahead of time. If it is, it's so close to the timing that I can't think about it. Unless if you make a point, I tangibly think, okay, in what part of my brain does that register? I can feel myself doing that and go, oh yeah, I know this to be true. And it's really fast processed. And I know how I feel about it. And so I can speak off the cuff about it because it hits something that I've generally, it's kind of like we were talking about earlier, practice, right? Oh yeah, I know what I think about that, and it just opens that section up and then it's related to the topic at hand. But I don't hear my voice beforehand. Like I don't ever hear my voice beforehand. And what she said about pictures, sometimes when I freestyle, yes, I see the picture a lot and I see the numbers when I do math. But that's only because I've done it so much. That's not my normal process. Like when I do math, if someone says 73 times 3, I see the 9 and the 21. I see 219 really fast. But that's only because it's math. So I don't know. I think that's what she's getting
that
at.
was kind of my thing too. Well, I guess it's part of the stage that she was in too, that it's in. It's kind of like, do we really even know? Let's find out how influential this could be. It could be nothing. It could be a deciding factor on how we approach things. But to me, the hardest part is just going to be the identifying method. Who really knows? Like, even as a philosopher, I'm talking to 2 philosophers. And everybody, we all just thinking like, do I hear myself? Like, you literally an artist, and we spend hours in our own head every day, and we're still thinking like, do I hear my own?
Yeah, like I've never approached it that way before. Like I do know that I see when I'm freestyling, it's very easy for me to see like into the future. That's the best way I can see it. I can see into the future and where I'm going very fast.
Right. You're not thinking about what you're saying, thinking about what you're going to say. Like you're there.
Yeah. Like while my mouth is moving, I'm thinking about what's coming up. I can see ahead of the turn. I think we all do that when we freestyle to an extent.
Absolutely.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of ideas coming up. One, so she's thinking about, is she a scientist, doctor, or is she a student?
She's a coach.
Coach.
Is.
Okay. Yeah. Because this is one of my frustrations with modernity.
Yeah.
Like we live in a current society where like science always wants to be able to explain everything, but there's some stuff which is like I think purely spiritual. Like those things get excluded from the conversation, but we're talking about like fundamentally spiritual kind of concepts. Like how do you think first and then like create, right? Or how you thinking as you're creating. Like these are fundamentally spiritual ideas.
Yeah.
So like the idea you're talking about is like how am I talking? Like right now I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about what you've said, I'm processing what you said, I'm integrating what I want to say with what you said, I'm spitting it back to you. You're listening to me right now. There's like 4 layers of meta happening on both sides. I got to listen, process, integrate existing knowledge, new knowledge, incorporate, make a new idea, spit that idea back out. You got to listen, you got to process, incorporate while you're thinking and talking. I mean, I think some of it's fundamentally. I mean, the first thought I thought about also was, I mean, it's either in Proverbs, I don't know, somewhere in the Bible. It's like out of the abundance of the heart.
You mean
Proverbs? That's the new brand.
Proverbs.
What's that?
Proverbs. Heart, the mouth speaks.
Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So whatever's already in your heart, like you're speaking it. So like whatever you've deposited over your life is in there, and I think that's why people say things are, oh man, you know, it's Friday. Oh, can't wait to like people are just speaking the stuff that they already believe.
Right.
So some stuff you don't have to like think about. It's just a part of you.
The math part he was mentioning about. You just see the numbers because you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, but only at a, like I don't see the numbers on like, okay, if it's like a super hard formula, I see chunks of it, right? I don't see the whole thing and it like comes to me in a vision or anything. But if you say like basic math operations, I do see the numbers when they're small. Like if there's also tests you can do, like when you can say 7 numbers is about the most that a human can repeat. Like if I go to both of you guys, if I say repeat after me, 1, 2, 4, 7.
1, 2, 4, 7.
Yeah, it's no challenge until you get the 7 numbers. So 7 numbers is where 80% of the people fall off the cliff. So, and you have to say with no cadence too. You have to be like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 1. Good luck, you know, because that was 7 numbers. You know? And so we chunk our phone numbers into 3 digits and then 4. Like, you know, I used to remember it. My phone number used to be 459-0009. You know, like what 459-0003. You know, and we say it in these little rhythms so that we can remember it. You know? And it's very tough after that.
I mean, oh man, we could do a whole.
She should do a show on that. Like that's
I mean, just the brain. Like I've watched so much stuff on the brain is ridiculous. Like something with, because you know you got your corpusum callosum, which like connects the two. So I was watching some video where I think some people was crossed or something, and so they were showing them images, and like they couldn't. It wasn't upside down. It was like they couldn't. Something about where the images were displayed in front of them. And they couldn't read it or something, but because their corpusum callosum was crossed, they could.
They could cheat it into doing it. They could see the picture and not know the word or whatever.
Then I saw this thing on a TV show. I mean, this was like a drama show, but I'm guessing they did some research. But there was a military person, and she had a stroke, and she was a witness to a crime. And so the person who was investigating was like, "Can you tell me what happened?" And the doctor who was there was like, "Well, she can't speak because her stroke has like messed up her speech part of her brain, but people who have strokes can sing. So if you get her to like sing the answer, like she can do it." And so then she sang it. And then you probably seen the stuff people had like dementia, like when they put the music on them and they just like come alive. Like,
or people who stutter, they can sing perfectly, and you know the stutter goes away because they're in their zone. Or rap.
Bro, that's the overwhelming wealth of information. And that's why I guess the spiritual part of it for me is important. Like the feel, the grasp, the influence, the things that you can't explain. There isn't an answer for everything. It's just not some stuff you can't explain. And I'm cool with that. Most people can't accept that, especially in the religious sector. Most people can't accept that. I don't have an answer for that. Like I just. Like, and I don't want to be lazy either about it either, you know. being proactive, doing the research, taking the time, talking to people, even sitting across the table from people who have beliefs that are different than mine. That you'd be surprised how critical that is for me of really solidifying what I already believe, or expanding my knowledge and helping me get a better understanding of what I believe. And I get that from people who believe the exact opposite, or not necessarily the exact opposite of what I believe, but may have beliefs that may contradict mine. I get so much out of those experiences, and so trying to figure out whether or not I can hear my own thoughts. I don't know why that's so fascinating to me, but it is. It's like I'm really.
It's about as meta as you can get.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy. Yeah.
I don't think you can have a more meta question than that. It's like, yeah, other than you go to the big, how did we get here kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's funny too, like that topic, right? That topic of the end of what I showed you and I got to and I read from Robbie's post, right? Where it gets to the sort of the punchline. Right at this point, we're using all this high tech science to get to the final thing. Like God, right? Like biggest part of the universe, like, and it's funny. It's like all discussions, like people arguing in these rooms or whatever, and I always go into them and I sort of end it with the same comment all the time. I'm like, "Yo, chill. Like, go to your respective corners. Like, listen, nobody has the answer to this. I don't care how theist you are or how atheist you are." There is no satisfying answer to this, and it shuts down all conversation. And it really is this simple, is that there is no explanation you can give that's satisfying on the extreme science or the extreme religion side, I should say extreme spiritual side, of how something comes into existence that is also all powerful. What is the root cause of something that began everything? Right? Whether you believe in that thing or not, there's no satisfying answer to how did everything start, right? Unless you want to get into a deep philosophical meta conversation about, well, maybe some things don't need a start, or you can say this but you're speculating no matter what side it's on, whether you're on the science side or you're on the spiritual side. And Absolutely. It's like the end of that picture. There is no answer to that question because it doesn't make sense in the construct we're saying. There can be no
concept.
Right, but that's true for. I will say this. I will say this against any theist that is a hardcore. Like, no, this is. I don't care what your book is. You don't have the answer for that question. There's no satisfying answer because it's fundamentally the a priori question of how something comes into existence that is greater than everything. If that's your belief system and that's where it's stopped, then you are being lazy. If you're not questioning how that could possibly be, it doesn't mean just because we don't have an answer for it and we probably never will.
Can't be true.
That you shouldn't be racing towards what are all those like things, because that's good mental exercise to do anyways, to challenge yourself and say, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a way to perceive of this. And we're just asking the question wrong without bringing into it massive philosophy, massive science, or massive spirituality. Just, I guess philosophy is the closest thing. Like, can we posit that there would be something that is the creator that didn't need a creator?
Right. Even for people who, like you said, who are extreme spiritual, though, like especially when it comes down to the book, of reading scripture, it's also very adamant about challenging yourself too. Like, study to show thyself approved. Like, if you're really into the cloth like that, then you know that there's the expectation to always push, to identify, to
and we know where the books we know where the books start. You know what I'm saying? They don't go that back. Just
they
don't say anything about the author. Like, I was born on a hill. Like, there's none of that. It's just like in the beginning there was God. That's it.
Yeah. And it just challenges you. It does challenge you to try the spirit by the spirit. I can think of scriptures after scripture that says don't just accept anything, right? Ask questions. In a religious world, like, we get caught up in it. We get caught up in fleecing and questioning God kind of thing. But because we don't really understand, we get too Pharisee-like in the letter of the law that we completely ignore the whole concept of scripture, which is spiritual. And
But you can see what this has, like to Bernard's point, this has the same quality to it. It's a very
It does.
spiritual question.
It's
like,
a
how
very
does your
spiritual question.
thought come into being in your own head? And
It's fascinating.
what are you thinking when you're thinking? That's pretty close, you know.
And that's the work. And like y'all, man, like y'all.
It's creation.
Saying all night. That's the work, bro. That's the work. Not being lazy, asking that question, and really like, oh, you know what? That's interesting.
Well, I'll hit it from this angle too, because I did a talk at my school last fall, and I called it releasing student voices, podcasting as creative self-care. And the image that I used was like this just mouth opening with like all of this stuff coming out of it, and then on the inside of the person was like another of the person, you know, so like a smaller version of yourself. Because that's how I feel a lot of times. Like my voice is like literally trying to get out. And so I think when you're thinking of like rap, poetry, just talking in therapy, podcasting, like that's what we're all trying to do. We're like all trying to get out of our head. Like we're trying to like manifest ourselves. Like I have this thing in my head and I need somebody to hear it. If nobody, just me, right? Like just feedback, right? And so I think that image for me is powerful because it's like when some kid is like, hey, listen to my idea, and you're like, shut up, we ain't got time for this. Like you're literally like suppressing them. You know, there's like that voice that wants to get out is a real thing. But because it's inside, obviously no one else can hear it. So they just think like, so what? Like you didn't get to talk. But you're like, no, but like that's me. That's literally me trying to get out.
That's beautiful.
I corrected I was proofreading a flyer today for the event that I'm doing. I think I was telling you guys a little bit about, and I was uncomfortable with the wording. But one of the things, to your point, Bernard, that one of the scientists had wrote very harmlessly, didn't mean anything by it, just a very small word, right? But the sentence, I was trying to reduce them so that they weren't sentence form, that they were just like bullets, like rap music, scientist, blah blah blah, you know, like come see the booths or whatever. And one of the things that the sentences that they had when it was in full sentence form is it said come speak something like casually with scientists, right? Like so that you can kind of hear their point of view in an informal setting. It was some kind of sentence like that, but it said come hear scientists speak. Or it was like insane, as opposed to saying come speak with scientists, you know, come meet scientists. And so I was editing the whole thing, and I was like, it was from the philosophy that, oh, shouldn't you be thanking your lucky stars that you get to meet a physicist and that they get to talk to you? And it was in the form of they're going to talk to you. And I was like, dude, we got to erase that. You got to change that. You got to talk with, you know what I'm saying? Like have a conversation. Again, it's silencing the voice. Like here's an opportunity for students to meet someone that they might find is interesting, and you're going to shut up and listen. You know what I'm saying? It's like at every turn, it's sort of this old kind of mentality that we have about education is like, you should be shut up and honoring, and we don't need to hear your voice. You're going to hear ours, you know, at every single turn. So you can wonder, it's no wonder, I should say, why there's such pushback to a lot of the creative arts in education spaces, especially in science. And to me, it's so important, this questioning, hearing each other's voice, throwing ideas out there, and, you know, and trying to at least come up with something and just push through no matter how hard it seems, because a lot of the times we're wrong about our perception, you know, until we get a new piece of info. We go, oh, if I only had that, I would have approached the question totally differently. And then I could have seen that there was a way.
Right.
You know?
Well, I'm sure all of us on here have probably experienced this on some point, but there's definitely times where I've had, I mean, not even like heavy stuff, like not even think that serious, but just not having talked to somebody. And then when I talk to somebody, there's this release, and I'm like, I like physically feel it. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, I just said some words to a person, but something
they didn't even say anything back.
Right. Something in you was like, yeah, that needed to come out. So that goes back to what I was saying. There's something real about that internal voice. You know, thought becomes audible word, right? Like I always talk about this, like your thought travels down your brain, comes up to your tongue, and then it's like air. I mean, it's very musical, right? Like you don't get music until you blow air through a reed. So it's like until your voice audibly manifests and
It's very
moves
string theory.
molecules.
It's very string theory. It's very
Legos, man.
vibrant.
That's that
Very
Legos,
vibrating
man.
strings. You know, with the manifestation of ripples and wind and you know, my son watches The Last Airbender all the time, and I'm like, Airbender, throat, sound, has some validity.
There's life in words, man. Matter of fact, the scriptures it kind of suggests that death and life lies in the power of the tongue. You know, so there's definitely is power. There's a lot that exists in words. So you definitely feel it, man. You definitely feel it, how it impacts people. You know, there's
Voice of the just brings forth wisdom.
Yeah, man. How music changes people, even if it's a made up song. And I say made up song, it's just like I must make a song about a concept and somebody actually really relates to that, right? We was talking about Mary J. in the halftime show at Super Bowl, and we remember her music from the 90s, how it was just like, you know, we called it
I
soul
wanted to hear
music.
real
You
love.
know what I'm
Real
saying?
love.
You know what I'm saying? I keep on falling. Like, if you hear that phrase, no matter where you are, man, listen, people like that, Alicia Keys, the people that have those words that I'm going down with Mary, like, it's just certain phrases that you hear that is just will always forever resonate in your minds. Like, it carries a generation of people with it, you know what I'm saying? Or a sect of people who may be dealing with depression or whatever they may be dealing with. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I love it.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we all heard this at some point. You know, the word inspiration means to breathe.
Right.
So it was funny because when I used to do these medical, at the medical school, you go in and role play for the medical students, and they do the stethoscope. They ask you questions, and you're in character. You're like, oh, I had a call for a week, and then they're learning how to deal with patients. So one time there was these 3 girls, 3 doctors, 3 medical students, and they were like feeling for the different organs. Like there's so much with the body, but they were feeling for the organs, and so one of them, she said, "Inspire," and I wanted to be like, "Would you like poetry or music?" But I didn't have the guts to say it. I was like, that was my chance to say it.
Yeah, but you're surrounded by 3 chicks, man. They feeling all on you, and you missed the chance to.
Yeah, they were very cute too, and doctors. So,
oh man,
I always find it interesting. Did my mic shut off? Oh no, it's back on. I always find it interesting with like the meaning of amusement too. You know, like amusement was always a word that puzzled me. I was like, there's that muse part, but you read the definition of it. Really, it's like to divert your attention away. It's like the goal of amusement and entertainment are basically to distract you from all of your everyday reality. You know, it's just a very interesting concept, you know.
Man, let me jump.
To distract.
I got basketball games in the morning.
I'm going to what?
4 of my kids.
What time?
Man, different times. I think first game's like 9, and another game's like double headers and all that. You know how my life is.
I got a 7 a.m. Taekwondo tournament to go to, and my son's not even in it. He just wants my wife and him want to go watch and give moral support to a guy on the team is like a champion from Mongolia, and he's here doing Taekwondo at their place. He's been here for like a year and a half. He's like this, like, he's like Olympic team dude. Yeah, and so this dude's competing tomorrow. He's like, I guess I'll compete. So, but he's competing for USA, and he's like Olympic champion kind of guy. He's like, I guess I'll compete. So we're watching him. In fact, he's using my wife was helping him out with his piece of his gear he didn't have, so she hooked him up last night while we were there watching my son do his testing.
That's what's up.
Black belt, green stripe, up to the green stripe now. Both of them, actually.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
If the house is broken into, I'm good. You know?
You're good, bro.
First, I send Henry out. If they get by Henry, then I send Nicole out. Maybe not necessarily in that order. And then if you really get through them, then I'm waiting for you in bed. You know, I'm like,
oh man,
under the covers, like, no.
So this guy asked this question last night, man, about, he was at somewhere, he saw a video, and the man's child he just seemed to be frustrated because he couldn't understand why his wife was getting mad because he answered a hypothetical question with a hypothetical answer. It's like, why are you real mad about a hypothetical question? It's just like, what if our son was in a gorilla cage? Would you go get him? And he's like, he's 3. I barely know him. No, I'm not going to the gorilla cage.
3. I barely know.
Like, I barely know him. I'm not.
Oh man, I would have leaped in there, man. But yeah, I would have leaped in there thinking I could outrun him. But the gorillas are really good with the kids, though. You know what I'm saying? They always protect the kids.
Yeah, but like, okay, man, I've spent all this money for you to go to Taekwondo, man. He probably make it out.
Now the panda cage, he might have to be on his own. You know what I'm saying? But the gorilla cage, yeah, I'm going in. I'm gonna go real non-threatening, like, hey.
That's great. All right, man, I'm out, B.
Yeah, man, we out here. Bernard, thanks, man. Always a pleasure.
It was fun, yeah.
Always
Appreciate
a pleasure.
you, fellas.
Yeah,
And we will chop it up on those clubhouse streets again soon.
All right, I will see y'all.
We got work to do. Work. All right, Fly.
Bye,
Have a good
peace.
night. Peace, everybody.